Trying again on LinkedIn to make sure we are good with our stream. Good morning, Nikki. Good to see you here. First thing as usual, Courtney. Similar. Good to see you here. First thing as usual, happy Thursday to you as well. For some reason, LinkedIn is giving me issues. Let's try this again on LinkedIn. We are live on Facebook, however. We are live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube. We're live on X. Good morning, all those places. We're live on Instagram. Good morning over there. And TikTok. We are in here. Good morning, Duck Going Buck. James Collins. Good morning. Blackjack. Good morning. Tell me you all's locations. You can just give me a city or a town or a state if we might not know the city. Tell me your locations as you are checking in. For some reason, LinkedIn is giving me an issue. We're having trouble going live with your broadcast. Let's see if I can just... We're live on YouTube. We're live on X. Good morning, all. Let me try live again. So I don't know what they call this. The backstage is working, but I don't see the live working. Connecticut's in the house. Indiana, Carla, good morning. Nashville, Tennessee. Shout out to Nashville. Beautiful town. If Nashville had Miami's weather, I would live in Nashville. Northern Kentucky is here. As y'all are coming in, shout yourselves out. Let me see. I don't know. We might not be able to do it on LinkedIn today. For some reason, it's not working. Let me try it one more time on LinkedIn. Maybe I'll just try a straight. Let's try it one more time here. I might have to just try it a different way. The topic here today, South Carolina is in the house. Topic here today, we're going to talk about the corporate rules for men. If you are operating in a corporate space, I'm going to explain what that means, how you can operate in a corporate space as a man, because these things need to be addressed. Let me try this one more time on LinkedIn. Now it says going live. Waiting one, waiting two. If this doesn't work, then we're just going to go without LinkedIn today. LinkedIn seems to having some issues right now. All right, that's enough trying on LinkedIn. We are then going to be live Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So I guess we're going to be limited to 6 platforms here today. Someone's asking about Savannah, Georgia's in the house. Good morning, Pamela. Somebody mentioned something about student loans. We'll talk about that on a different day, not today. East Orange, New Jersey. Good morning. Somebody said something about MAGA Nation. Well, that's not the topic here today either. We're going to talk about these corporate rules for men because this story about Mr. Shannon Sharpe, which y'all heard me talking about yesterday, we got to talk a little bit more about this. Yesterday, I was talking specifically about men, if you're going to mess with or you decide to engage with women who are selling sex on the internet today. We're going to talk about the other side of the situation because for those of you who don't know what the other side of the situation was, Shannon Sharpe is rumored to right now be on the cusp of signing a deal for his broadcasting network. He has a podcast called Club Shay Shay. He used to play in the NFL. Those of you don't know who he is. He's on ESPN. He has a job on ESPN, but he also has his own platform and his own network. And his own network is doing very well. His show is very popular. His interview show. And he was rumored to be on the cusp of about to sign a deal for $100 million for basically a company was going to invest in his company. He was about to do a $100 million business deal. And that's when the woman sued him, and she sued him for $50 million. According to his lawyer, it was I believe it was his lawyer that I heard saying this. Shannon Sharpe's lawyer, not the girl's lawyer. According to his lawyer, they tried to go into mediation with the girl and try to get her to basically shut up and go away. He was basically going to pay her hush money to be quiet, go away, leave this story alone, and basically have her sign a non-disclosure and never bring this up again. They offered her $10 million, and she said no. The girl, the OnlyFans girl, said no to a $10 million offer from Shannon Sharpe and his legal team. $10 million is a lot of money for somebody to just shut up and go away. And a $50 million lawsuit, $10 million is a pretty good reason to shut up and go away. She said no to the $10 million. So I'm very interested to find out what she's looking for. Now, I understand with Tony Busby as her lawyer, she was probably advised to say no. And the reason why probably is because Tony Busby said, and any of you knows anything about the legal system, especially in lawsuits, is that when you come out with a lawsuit and the other party rather quickly offers to settle with you, whatever number they offer you, they'll probably go a little bit higher if you can hold out. And a lot of people are looking at that carrot being dangled in front of them, $10 million. I'll just take the $10 million and let it go. But the lawyer might say to them, well, why take 10 when we get 25? I think she's probably looking at more like a 25. And around that 25 point, then she'll probably go away. And what they did, for those of you who've been following this story on social media, you've probably seen it on whatever app you're on. Well, not whatever app. If you're on X or on TikTok, you've probably seen and heard about this, and YouTube as well. Is that yesterday, the accuser, the girl, I believe her name is Gabrielle or Gabby, something like that, Gabby, she and her side put out a couple of audios from phone calls that Shannon Sharpe and this girl had. And Shannon Sharpe, his whole frame is, this whole thing was like a role play that we did with each other, that I'm this big black guy and you're this innocent white girl, and it was kind of like a racial type of role play that he's claiming they were doing. In the conversations, either if you believe Shannon, they're playing into that and this happened to be recorded, or if you believe what the girl and her lawyer are saying, is that this guy was actually very dangerous to this girl and was hurting this girl and threatening to hurt this girl and a whole bunch of other things. You can see some of the screenshots of the text messages that got sent between the two of them, and they don't look good for Shannon Sharpe. Today, what we're going to talk about is how all of that connects to the business that Shannon Sharpe is doing, his podcasting brand and empire that he's building, and his job working at ESPN, who is known as the worldwide leader in sports. That's what we're gonna talk about, how all of that stuff connects to this, and I'm going to help all of you understand why this stuff matters. It's bigger than just Shannon Sharpe, of course. So let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Baldwin. Many know me as DreAllDay, former 9-year pro athlete, author of 41 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. I own this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we work with professional service entrepreneurs on systematizing, strategizing, and scaling their businesses up to the 6- and 7-figure level. You can learn more about that by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is in my profile or in my bio or in a comment, whatever platform you're watching me on. It's somewhere in there. Work on Your Game University. You just remember that, type it in, you'll find it. So when it comes to the Shannon Sharpe situation, again, with the lawyer will tell you if you get an immediate settlement offer, wait, hold out, keep conversing with them, and they'll probably offer you more. So if you sue a company and you say, I want $25,000, they'll probably come to you and say, all right, we'll give you $5,000 to settle this case. And a lawyer will tell you, no, don't take the $5,000. Just keep going with them and get it closer and closer to the lawsuit actually happening. And then they'll come back and say, all right, we'll give you $10,000. And then keep going, keep pushing. Then they might come back and say, all right, we'll give you $12,500. Then the lawyer will say, all right, take that. Now you take the $12,500. You sued for $25,000. They offered you $5,000, but you walked away with $12,500. That's generally how it works, is that you keep negotiating. Usually the first offer is going to be the lowest, and you keep going, it gets higher. And the reason that they put that material out, and this is all just my theory, the reason that the lawyer, Tony Busby, and the OnlyFans girl put those text messages and those audios out yesterday is just to put more pressure on Shannon Sharpe. Because they're showing him that, hey, we are going to... Shannon Sharpe already knows what he said, because these are text messages. Assuming that these text messages are real, and assuming that the audio from the phone conversations are real, and sounds like him, and the audio in the phone conversation, assuming that that's real, Shannon already knows that he said those things. What they're doing right now is not really threatening him with, hey, remember that you said this. That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is saying to Shannon, we know you're a public figure. We know that you work in these corporate entities and you work with these big corporations, because the company's giving you $100 million. Guess what? They got some corporate backing. That's a corporation giving them $100 million. They know, Tony Busby and the OnlyFans girl, they know if we sully your reputation strongly enough, before we even get to court, you are going to feel so much pressure to make us go away and shut up that you're going to give us what we want. So $10 million ain't enough, sir. You got to give us more than that. That's what they're doing. This is the pressure tactic that a lawyer is going to use when you're suing somebody who's a public figure. Because if you can hurt their reputation and that reputational damage is hurting their business, then you have the upper hand. And right now, they got the upper hand. And Shannon is kind of, right now, he's in crisis mode. Shannon Sharpe and his legal team are in deep crisis mode right now, because they have to figure out how they get this girl to shut the hell up and this lawyer to shut the hell up. And obviously they made it clear, get us to shut the hell up. $10 million ain't enough. You got to do something else. They don't want this to go to court. They don't want this to become a lawsuit. They don't want to go through discovery and all of that, because if that happens, then everything that happened is going to come out in court. And even if Shannon Sharpe is able to exonerate himself through the civil suit, all the material that comes out, if it sounds anything like what's come out so far, which is him, big black guy messing with this little white girl, the fact that he's messing with the OnlyFans girl, the fact that he's 50-something years old, mid-50s, and this girl was she was 19 when they met, and she's 21 now, and she does sex work, and she does OnlyFans. Even if he completely exonerates himself on a legal and a civil level, his reputation is going to be so hit that this is going to keep corporate interest from wanting to do business with him. That's the problem that Shannon Sharpe has right now. And it's not so much. I've seen a lot of people talking about this on social, like, well, Shannon's like just talking bad about him. Like, you 50-something years old and you messing with a 19-year-old girl on OnlyFans. You're like, he's just not that guy because he's doing that. And because he was probably spending money to be around this girl. I say that is generally, if we're just talking like street talk, barbershop talk, that's immaterial. Doesn't really matter. Generally doesn't really matter. 19 years old is legal. 50-something years old is legal. Shannon is not married. Doesn't seem like the girl's in any type of relationship with anybody other than being with him. And if he wants to pay for access to a girl who sells access to herself, that's fair business as far as I'm concerned. Now, Shannon made a mistaken judgment. I talked about this a lot yesterday. If you missed my live yesterday, go watch the replays on my YouTube channel. The link's in my profile on TikTok. I talked about this yesterday. Shannon's mistake was a lack of discernment. In other words, he was not able to properly and accurately judge the character of this girl. Because if you look at this stuff, I get the text messages. Putting the text messages out is the thing. I can go through my phone right now and show you text messages I had with other people 6 months ago because my phone just saves the text. It's easy to take a screenshot of a text and send it to somebody. You know what you text. But a phone conversation, she was recording the phone conversations that they were having. Now, why would she be recording the phone conversation? How many of you, when you have a conversation on the phone, you're just recording the phone conversation? If I'm on a Zoom call, it gets recorded automatically. But the phone? This girl, for some time, was recording phone conversations that Shannon and the girl were having. Why was she recording the phone conversation? It seems to me that this was kind of a plot and a plan for a while. I don't know if she was doing it the whole time, but she was plotting and planning along the way. I'm going to get this guy, and she was recording phone conversations. Again, who records phone conversations? That's not a normal thing. People just record a phone conversation. And the other thing is, Shannon Sharpe admitted to this, that there's a sex tape. Now, it seems that the girl did the recording because, and maybe Shannon has a copy of the recording as well. I don't know. But Shannon talked about this in his video that he put out yesterday. I mentioned to y'all that video, and I'll let you hear a little bit of it when I took my bathroom break yesterday. Well, I'll let you hear the whole thing. The video was only a minute long. He said that there is a sex tape and that the girl's going to put out maybe a 30-second clip of the sex tape. And then what Shannon said on top of that was, how about you put out the whole tape? Because he said the 30-second clip is going to show you a bunch of stereotypes about black men. That one kind of made me curious. What exactly is he talking about? What could happen in 30 seconds of a sex tape that confirms a stereotype about black men? Because somebody put in the comments. Let me stop and go to the comments. Someone said, is recording phone conversations? I was thinking about that as well, but I guess in certain states it's allowed. So it depends on what state you did it in. She was in, I think they were both in California and also Nevada. So I guess in those states it's legal. So I'm assuming they're in a state where it's okay. And the other thing is, again, what stereotypes about black men can be verified in 30 seconds of a sex tape that's put out? That's what Shannon said. He said the 30-second clip is going to show you or confirm a bunch of stereotypes about black men. Which ones? And he was saying it as if it's going to be something negative. So I get the one stereotype. I'm not going to speak on that. But the other stereotype, what are they talking about? What are the stereotypes that he's talking about? I can't understand. AJ Ruiz, yeah, see, that one I know what that meant, but that one doesn't make him look bad. I mean, that he'd probably be happy about that one. But what else? What else is he talking about? So Ace SCA says, telling her in the clip how much he loves white women. I don't know. Is that a stereotype about black men? They just love white women? Maybe him, but is that a stereotype generally about black men? I don't think so. So it made me curious. I don't know what the hell he's talking. What is he talking about? What stereotype about black men can be confirmed in 30 seconds of a sex tape of a black man with a white woman? I mean, it ain't like this is some rare thing these days for a black man to be with a white woman. And if Shannon, we already know he was with a white girl. We see it. We see her. I don't know what he's talking about there. It doesn't quite make sense. What he's saying and what he's alluding to, I'm assuming, is that they did some type of role play of he's the black guy, she's the white girl. Maybe it was some type of slave messing with the master's wife. I don't know. I don't even know what that could possibly be. Now, race play. That's what I'm thinking. Alchemist. I'm thinking there's going to be some type of race play where it's like he's saying something or she's doing something where they're kind of playing into this racial dynamic in a way that this was just a thing that helped both of them get off. Like they got off on doing things like this, which again is not illegal. The problem for Shannon is not that what he's doing is illegal, at least not this part that we're talking about. The girl also did make a claim of something that could possibly be illegal, but we'll get to that in a moment. It's that this makes him look bad when you're standing next to a corporation that's about putting $100 million on your name, and now You are representative of them. That's the part that we're going to talk about here today. Another thing that we saw in the text messages was, and this all came out yesterday, the girl has sent the text message to Shannon Sharp. And, hey, you want to come in here? I'm recording. You want to join me? Okay, but you're coming in anyway? Okay. So the girl has sent the text message to Shannon Sharp. And she said, I cried after you left because I told you to put a condom on. This is what it says in the text. You can read it. I told you to put a condom on and do not stick it in my back door. That's what she said in the text. And that's why I was crying. And then she said, I don't care what our relationship is. No means no, Shannon. Allegedly, this is what she said to him. And his response to that text was, can I call you later? That one doesn't look good. That one don't look good. Now, there's going to be a legal case around this. I don't know. I would guess, just my theory, that the girl being who she is and the background that she has and the line of work that she's in, she doesn't really care about putting him behind bars because she doesn't get anything if he goes behind bars. What she wants is that bread. That's why the lawsuit came first. Notice there's no legal case. The lawsuit came first. See, if people really care about justice, quote unquote, the legal case comes first, the lawsuit comes second, like OJ. There's a legal case first, then a lawsuit. This one, the lawsuit came first. There's no legal case. I doubt she even went to the cops. She don't care about the cops. She don't care about putting him in jail. She wants that bread. I mean, that's why she's on OnlyFans. All right, this is a money play. And I ain't mad at her. The game is the game. But we got to talk about what Shannon Sharp's doing here. So let's get more into this topic. First of all, when you are in a corporate or bureaucratic environment, and Shannon Sharp, when you watch these people on social media, especially those who are connected to big brands, Shannon Sharp works at ESPN. You know who owns ESPN? Does any of you know who owns ESPN? Some of you probably know. Put in the comments if you know who owns ESPN. ESPN is not an independent platform. It is owned by another entity. Does anybody know who owns ESPN? Okay, all y'all got it. ESPN is owned by Disney. All right, you know what Disney is. All right, Mickey Mouse. All right, Disney owns ESPN. They are a huge corporate entity. A lot of corporate interests, and they own a whole lot of things. I believe they also own ABC. Of course, they own Disney World, and Disney World is all about what? Family, wholesomeness, kids. Now, there's some things we could tell you about Disney World that happened over the last couple of years with Governor DeSantis fighting against them and all that. But generally, we know what Disney is about. The higher ups at Disney are looking really, really strongly at this one right here. Stephen A. Smith, who works with Shannon Sharp on their show First Take, he put a video out yesterday where he was sounding very interesting thing about Stephen A. Smith. A lot of times when Stephen A. Smith talks, he talks as if he's a boss. He talks as if he's a boss. I'm executive producer of this show. I control who goes on this show. I'm this, I'm that. He talks in a very a New York type of way. Let's just put it that way. Stephen A. Smith is a very New York type of guy. And he's from New York. I know a lot of New Yorkers. He talks just like that. But yesterday in that video, he sounded very conciliatory. He sounded like an employee. Well, how he was talking. He was like, well, I talked to the big bosses and I talked to this guy and that guy. He name dropped people and said, I can say that guy's name because I got permission from my boss to use his name in this video. And they're looking very strongly at this. And that's all they'll say. This is bad for Shannon Sharp because, first of all, he works for ESPN, who's owned by Disney. Disney has to look at their reputation if they're going to stand next to a guy like this, because y'all got to understand the shareholders, not shareholders, the board of directors at Disney. This is a corporate entity. So they have a board of directors of people who are somebodies in the business world. When they meet for their board of directors meeting, they're like, and they hear about this. Understand, they don't watch this stuff. A lot of the people on the board of directors, they're not sitting there watching ESPN. They don't watch Club Shay Shay. They're not following any of this nonsense. But they're like, wait a minute, board, I got a question. I'm a member of the board. Who's this Shannon Sharp guy? We're paying him. He's on our payroll. He's making a certain amount of money. He's standing next to the guy who is our highest paid guy in sports. The highest paid guy talking sports these days is Stephen A. Smith. Shannon Sharp is sitting next to Stephen A. Smith. So they notice this. This is the money coming out of people's pockets. This guy has a lawsuit he's 50-something. He got a lawsuit from a 21-year-old girl who does OnlyFans. And there's a text message where she said to him, put on a condom and don't stick it in my back door. And no means no. And he didn't say that didn't happen. He said, can I call you later? This guy's on our payroll? How is that happening? The board of directors is going to have that conversation if it comes to that. And that's why ESPN is looking really hard at this situation. That's why Stephen A. said what he said. And what that means is Shannon Sharp may be done at ESPN. Now, that's different from his podcast. His podcast is his own stuff. but he may be done at ESPN. And that matters because ESPN is a very large platform. If you want a lot of people to know your name, be on TV every day. Oprah Winfrey said that. The reason why everybody knows my name is I was on TV every day for 30 years. You're on TV every day, people know your name. ESPN, even though many of you may not even watch quote-unquote TV, it's still TV. I only own a TV, but I know who's on TV. I know Oprah's on TV. I know the people who are on TV because it's TV. And that's a very large platform for Shannon that feeds into his other platforms. I think ESPN might be on the cusp of letting him go. And that may happen before the week is over. And today's Thursday. That may happen before the week is over. Today's Thursday. There was a guy who played in the NBA named Paul Pierce. Some of y'all know Paul Pierce. And you may know the story I'm about to refer to. This was several years ago. How long ago was this? Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Paul Pierce was having, I don't know what he was doing. He went on his Instagram Live or some live stream platform. And he was in his house, I guess. He was at somebody's house. And he and a bunch of his male friends are there. And they apparently had hired some strippers. And they got strippers walking around the room. And Paul is basically just selfie videoing himself. And he's showing you what's happening in the space. And there's a bunch of strippers walking around with not too much clothes on. And he's not saying anything. He's just showing you the scene of what's happening there. And I don't know why Paul Pierce did this. I guess he was trying to get some credibility. I don't know. I guess he thought it was cool. I guess he thought it was impressive that he and his boys had paid for a bunch of women to walk around with very little clothing on at their house. I don't know what the point of Paul Pierce doing that was. But he put the video out on social media. And like 2 days later, he got fired by ESPN. Right. So AC, you got it right. What Paul Pierce did was a lot less. All he did was have a bunch of strippers at his house. And he just showed you that he had strippers at his house. He got fired from ESPN. Shannon Sharp's situation, there's no video, not yet. But what Shannon Sharp is dealing with right now is bigger than what Paul Pierce is dealing with. And Shannon Sharp, I bet, is probably getting paid more by ESPN than Paul Pierce is getting paid. Because Paul Pierce, I've heard Paul Pierce on TV, he's not really that good. Shannon Sharp is actually good. Paul Pierce ain't good. Shannon Sharp's actually good, which means he's probably getting paid a lot more money. He has a bigger platform than Paul Pierce. And he's standing next to the most highest paid guy on ESPN, who's Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. draws the most eyes of everybody at ESPN, I guess, except for Pat McAfee. And now your partner, your guy you're rolling with, and Stephen A. was the guy who co-signed and said, bring Shannon over to ESPN. Let's not forget that. Stephen A. is the guy who said, bring Shannon over to ESPN, because Shannon was at Fox with Skip Bayless, who used to be at ESPN. When that show ended, Shannon got recruited to ESPN by Stephen A. Smith. Now, you're our highest paid guy, Stephen A. You vouched for this guy. What's that about? What's this about? That's why Stephen A. was sounding very conciliatory in that video he put out yesterday, because he knows this looks bad on him, even though he didn't do anything. All right, Stephen A. Smith ain't on a sex tape. Stephen A. Smith is not noted as being with some OnlyFans girl. Stephen A. Smith doesn't have any text messages being leaked. He don't have any of that stuff happening. But you're standing next to a guy that you asked us to hire, you recruited. You're our highest paid guy, and this guy's looking crazy. This guy's character is looking shady. You recruited him to us, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. What do you have to say to that? In the corporate world, this is how it goes. In the corporate world, this is how it goes. If I work in corporate and I go to my bosses and I vouch for you to come get a job where I work, and then you end up doing something wrong, I look crazy because I vouched for you to come into the job. And Stephen A. knows. That's why he was sounding the way he was sounding yesterday. Not because he's sad about Shannon Sharp. I mean, he might be, but that ain't why he was sounding like that, because his own career is flashing before his eyes when you do that, when you vouch for somebody in this way. Speaking of Stephen A. Smith, let me touch on this while we're on the subject. Stephen A. Smith is probably similar in age to Shannon Sharp, 50s, somewhere in his 50s. Stephen A. Smith is also noted for being single. He ain't married, right? We never known Stephen A. Smith to be married. All right, so he's single. Shannon Sharp is single. Now we speak of one other guy whose name I believe I mentioned yesterday. Did I mention this guy's name yesterday? I think I did. Mr. Kevin Samuels. You remember Kevin Samuels? He passed away like 3 years ago. And Kevin Samuels used to do these videos where he would talk to women about relationships. That's when he started to become really popular. He used to talk about men and man stuff. Then he started talking about relationships and talking to women on his lives, and he became very popular and all that. And Kevin Samuels used to say this. I heard him say it several times. And I believe it applies to Stephen A. Smith. Actually, I know it applies to Stephen A. Smith. Kevin Samuels said, because he was a single man, Kevin Samuels said, I will go out and I will meet women and I do my thing and all that. When he passed away, he was actually in the midst of having what looked like a one-night stand with some random woman who we never heard of until the night that he passed away. He was having a one-night stand that night, sleeping with some woman that he had met who knows where. And Kevin Samuels said, you never see anything about me and who I'm dating on the internet. You never hear any girls that I've been with airing me out. You never see any of my text messages, screenshots coming out, anything like that. You don't see any lawsuits. You don't see any paternity suits. You don't see any legal charges against me. That's because, and I don't remember him saying it in the exact words, but it's because he doesn't move sloppy. Shannon Sharpe's main issue here in the streets, forget the corporate stuff. Shannon Sharpe's main mistake here is that he was moving sloppy. Kevin Samuels said he laid it out. I don't move sloppy. So the women who I date, they ain't the type to do anything crazy like that. And he liked younger women. Kevin Samuels, like he was messing with 50-year-olds. He was messing with women in their 20s and their 30s. But he was properly vetting the women he was messing with and understood discernment. These women are not the type of women do anything crazy like what Shannon Sharpe had happen to him. That's Shannon Sharpe's mistake, is that he just misjudged the character of the woman he was messing with. It's not that he was messing with a 19-year-old. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. And understand, that was a consensual relationship. She wanted to mess with him too. So, hey, it is what it is. Stephen A. Smith. I never heard anything about Stephen A. Smith and who he moves around with. Have you? I never heard anything. I never seen any text messages get leaked. I never saw any woman come ahead with a lawsuit. And there's plenty of men who are over 40, over 50, over 60, who are out there single, doing their thing with women. And does their money, if they're, let's say they're a publicly noted person, noted for having money, does their money have anything to do with the type of women they're attracting? Of course it does. Do they spend money in ways that, had they not been spending that money, the girl might not be interested? Of course. But you don't see any of them having lawsuits against them. You don't see any of them getting sued for millions of dollars. You don't see screenshots coming out. You don't see text messages coming out. You don't see anybody trying to shake down or extort them. Shannon Sharpe said in his little hostage video he put out 2 days ago, this is a shakedown. Didn't he say that? In the 1 minute video, he said, this is a shakedown by Tony Busby, who comes after prominent black men. Well, here's the thing, Shannon. There's a whole bunch of prominent black men who are single going around here messing with random different women, and none of them are getting shook down, but you got shook down. So somebody's moving sloppy out here. All right, that's the issue. Shannon's out here moving sloppy. That's how he got caught. So that's the reason why I brought up Kevin Samuels. And back to my point here. When you're working in a corporate or bureaucratic environment, all of this matters. Your reputation matters. Your public reputation matters, because everything you do is reflected on that corporate entity who put money next to you, especially if they gave you $100 million. Y'all remember Bill O'Reilly? Bill O'Reilly's still alive, right? So Bill O'Reilly, back in the mid-2000s, the first decade of this century, in that mid-2000s area, Bill O'Reilly had a hard-on for going at rappers. He would just go at rappers. He would find some rapper whose music he heard of and didn't like, obviously didn't like the music. Bill O'Reilly doesn't seem like a guy to listen to rap music, right? He would find some rapper whose music he didn't like, and then he would find out what kind of corporate entities that rapper was aligned with. Like, this guy has a deal with Sprite, or this guy has a deal with Coca-Cola, or this guy has a deal with whoever, Samsung, whatever. And then he would put pressure on the corporate entity and say, hey, corporate entity, hey, Sprite, why are you doing a business deal with this rapper when he's rapping about this kind of stuff in his songs? He cost a lot of rappers their corporate sponsorship deals because he was, some people will call it hating on them and costing them their deals. I remember he did it to Ludacris, because Ludacris had a song called Number One Spot where he said in the song, he said, respected highly, hi, Mr. O'Reilly. Hope all is well, kiss the plaintiff and the wifey. So it was basically Luda trying to get a jab back at Bill O'Reilly, because Bill O'Reilly cost Ludacris a sponsorship deal. I don't remember which one it was, but basically he called out Ludacris, because Bill had a very big platform at that time. I believe he was on Fox, and he would find these rappers who he didn't like, and he would say, oh, listen to what this guy's saying. Let's go find out what corporate deals this person has, and let's go call it a corporation. See, he didn't reach out to Ludacris and say, hey, Luda, I got a problem with your raps. Hey, 50 Cent. Hey, Lil Wayne, I got a problem with your music. That doesn't matter. He would go to their corporate entities and say, hey, look at what this person who you're paying money to is doing. And the corporation didn't want the negative energy, because Bill O'Reilly had a huge audience. They didn't want that negative press from standing next to that person now that they've been aired out, and they just had to drop them. And that worked. I'm telling you all that to say this. This is the reason why Shannon Sharpe's in trouble. This is the reason why he's in trouble, because people are going to go and say, hey, Disney, how you going to be standing next to this guy? Hey, whatever company is about to give him $100 million. Y'all going to give him $100 million to a guy who lives like this? This guy, that's who you're going to give $100 million to? And again, even though legally Shannon Sharpe has not done anything wrong. And legally, again, I said earlier, the girl probably doesn't give a damn if anything happens to Shannon Sharpe legally. What does she care if he goes to jail? She don't get nothing, he goes to jail. Now she back out in the streets. All right, she wants that bread. And that's the reason why she came with a civil suit. It probably won't even be a legal case. So what gets tolerated, folks? Actually, let me back up. When you are with a corporate entity, everything you do, you're representing the brand, the company, the structure, etc., etc. I remember, for example, there used to be this guy on ESPN named Stuart Scott. Do y'all remember Stuart Scott? Stuart Scott was like one of the first prominent black guys to be working SportsCenter, and this is back when being on SportsCenter mattered. And Stuart Scott would do SportsCenter, and he would drop in these like hip hop references and throw them into his game analysis breakdowns. And he was a very popular guy. He passed away. I believe he had cancer at a relatively young age. And Stuart Scott was talking about that there was a time when, because he was very popular amongst the hip hop audience because of his position and what he did, because he would drop these hip hop references and people who like hip hop liked him. And he said some rapper came to him once. I don't remember who the rapper was. Some rapper came to Stuart Scott and said, hey, I want you to be in my rap video for a song that I'm doing. And Stuart Scott was telling the story. He said, I said to the rapper, understand, I appreciate it, but understand something. I work for ESPN. So whatever you're doing in that video or whatever you're saying in that song, if it don't sound right corporate wise, I can't do it. That's what you all need to understand. That you can't even stand next to somebody the wrong way publicly when you work for a corporate entity, because all of that stuff can be used against you. So you're representing their company, their structure, their brand. Every single thing you do is being watched, judged, and potentially documented. That's why you can't be out here moving sloppy when you're taking corporate money. You can't do what you want to do. You can't say what you want to say. You can't just be on the internet cussing and using certain terms when you have corporate money coming at you, because everybody in that corporation, that entire board of directors, it only takes one person on that board to say, nah, look, he said this. It won't work. This is one of the reasons why I'm not corporate, or one of the reasons why, because I'm not corporate, I can talk how I talk on the internet and on my own platforms, because I'm not trying to be corporate. And if I did try to be corporate, it wouldn't work, because all somebody would have to do is just go through my archives and my receipts, and they're going to hear me say one thing, two things, three things, 300 things, and say, nah, we can't do business with this guy. Because as soon as we put our name next to him, a bunch of people are going to go find out who he is. Somebody's going to hear that he said this, that, and the third, and that's going to be the end of the deal. That's what happens when you work in or with bureaucratic organizations. So some people say sometimes when I'm speaking, they say, Dre, you would be a good speaker like at a school or at a college. There's a reason why I don't speak at schools and colleges much. The reason is because I got too many receipts of saying things that would offend somebody who works at a school or a college. And again, it's not the students. It's not that the students, the 10th graders, say, hey, we don't like the things that Dre says. They would enjoy it. They would get a lot of value from it. The problem is, if I was to go speak at a college, for example, you know how big the committees are at colleges? Anybody listening to me right now work at a college? How big is the committee? How many people are on the committee that decides who they do business with? It's like somewhere between, who knows, 8 to 20 people on that committee. And this is the problem. This is the problem when you have a committee of 8 to 20 people, is that only one of those 20 needs to not like you for the deal to die. That's it. Only one person. So all the stuff that I've talked about over the years, all the things that I've said, talking about BLM, talking about DEI, talking about CRT, talking about the bald-headed kickboxer, the profanity that I use, all the things that I've said over the years, it wouldn't take anybody but 10 minutes to scroll through my archive and find something that offends them, and there you go. It's done. Yeah, 6 to 8 people. So 6 to 8 people is too many. This is the reason why when I do business, I tell this to my audience, especially when I'm working with entrepreneurs. I tell people this. I like to do business where I'm dealing with the main decision maker and maybe their number two. That's it. I don't want to do business with any company where it's like 6 people got to decide and they got to have a meeting and the committee. First of all, that shit takes too long. All right, it takes forever for them to make a decision because you got to go through all these different people. So we have a conversation. We tell them what it is. Here's what happens. And then it's like 3 weeks before a decision even gets made. I don't like slowness, first of all. Secondly, I am not interested in trying to appease 10 people. I'm just not interested because I know that I've said things that you put 10 people in a room. Somebody in that room ain't going to like something that I said. I'm not even doing that type of business. Those of you who like doing that, more power to you, but that ain't my world. That's why I don't speak at colleges. This is the reason why I don't do a lot of corporate business. Not because there's not one person there who will like my stuff. There's people who work at colleges who are on my email list. I see their email addresses. I see their domain names when they email me. I see it. Or when I get their out of office auto replies, I see, oh, this person works here. This person works here. There's a bunch of university people who follow me. But for them to bring me into the school, they got to go to their boss. They got to go to that boss. They got to go to that boss. And by the time you get all those people in the room and you say, all right, who's the person? All right, Dre Baldwin. They're all going to start Googling me. And within 5 minutes, somebody's going to be like, nah. And that's it. It's over. That fast. That's the way it works in corporate. Any of you who don't know, now you know. So when you represent or work with a corporate entity, that's what you got to be concerned with. I'll give you another example. I went to Penn State Altoona. I got my degree is from Penn State University. I went to one of the campuses of Penn State. They got 23 campuses. So one of them I went to is called Altoona. And after I graduated, I went and played pro ball. I graduated 2004. I started playing pro ball 2005. I played till 2015. So around 2015, this is when I'm starting my professional speaking career. And I thought, I got the bright idea, how about I reach out to my school? Because I remember when I was in school, they would sometimes have these events on the campus where some speaker would get invited to come to the school and talk. And if the students, if you wanted to go, you can go listen to them talk, whoever it was. So I figured, all right, well, I'm a alum of the school. I've become, quote unquote, successful. How about I reach out, pitch myself, because I'm trying to get speaking gigs at this time. So I'm reaching out to anybody and everybody. I thought, why not reach out to my school? Maybe they'll invite me to come be a speaker at the school, and I can talk to the kids and kind of give them some game. I'm only 10 years older than them, so I got out of school, went to school here. It'd be perfect. So I go pitch myself. I tell them who I am, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm down here in Miami. So some of the people who run the Alumni Association, including the Dean of Students, they were actually coming to Florida. They were coming to Miami because they were going on a fundraising mission. They were going to go meet with some people who had some money, who they were trying to get some money from to help the school out. So they said, we're going to be in Miami, as a matter of fact, to go. They didn't tell me about the fundraising, but I knew that's what they were doing. They said, how about while we're down there, we meet with you. We'll meet with you for a minute, just see who you are, learn about you, et cetera, et cetera. So we go have a meeting. We met at the Biltmore Golf Course in Miami. Those of you know anything about Miami, is a place called the Biltmore. Very nice hotel, classic hotel. They have a beautiful brunch that's like $100 a person every Sunday, and they got this beautiful golf course at the Biltmore. So we're sitting at the Biltmore having this conversation, and I'm basically telling them who I basically go through my whole story. I tell them who I was in school, et cetera, because I didn't know any of them when I was there, but they're all interested in me because I pitched them who I was. So they said, all right, here's what we'll do first, Dre, because I told them I wanted to come speak at the school. They said, here's the first step. And this is how bureaucracies work. The first step is, Dre, we're going to connect you with our guy who does like alumni catch-up stories. He's going to call you on the phone. He's going to interview you about what you've been doing since you graduated. And we're going to put an article out, and we're going to send it out to our email list about you. And then after that, depending on how that one goes, then we'll talk about what we could possibly do after that. This is how they do it. So I said, all right, cool. So the guy calls me. He interviews me. They put the article out. So I remember the article came out on like a Tuesday. And this is going out to all the alumni of the school. So everybody who's on the alumni email list gets this email. I'm in the email. So who knows? This might be 50, 100,000 people might be getting this email all on the same day. So I got a whole bunch of emails and text messages from people I went to school with who said, yo, I saw you in the article. I saw you in the email, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sending it out to my email list. I sent it to my parents. I'm all excited. All right, cool. They got me in the email. Great. The next morning, so email comes out on a Tuesday, right? The next morning is Wednesday. I go back to the website just to grab something else from the articles. I'm going to do something else to promote it and talk about it. I go to the link where the article was, and it's giving me like the 404 errors. This page does not exist, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, what the hell happened to the page? So then maybe I'm thinking I got the wrong link. So I'm checking other links. I'm going other places. I'm going to the website, typing my name in, and I cannot find the article. The article has completely disappeared. So what happened? You already know what happened. I call the woman from the head of the alumni department, and I say to her, hey, this is Dre Baldwin. Hey, that article you all put up, it was just up there yesterday. I'm looking, I don't see the article. You know what happened to it? And the woman, she was kind of like hesitant she paused for a minute before she spoke, and she said, Dre, we had to take your article down off the website. And I said, why did you take the article down? Mind you, they didn't tell me this. I found out and I called them. So she's answering after I called them. They weren't even going to tell me what happened. I said, why'd you take it down? She said, well, some of our alumni, when your article came out, they had some issues with some of the language on your website. And I'm like, we continued to have a conversation for about 10 minutes going back and forth. Nothing was going to change. The point was, here's what happened. That there are some people in the community of the school that I went to who have some pull and they have some say. And some of them, for whatever reason, either already didn't like me or they read something that I had put out on the internet at that point. This is like 2015. There was something I had put out on the internet even then that offended them. And somebody who had some pull made a phone call and said, nah, y'all can't mess with this guy. And that was it. And I have not done any business with my college since then. This is what I mean. It only takes one person. And I don't even know who the one person was. They didn't even tell me. And I don't even know what they were allegedly offended by. You never know. It could have been, don't even know what it was. It could have been when I was in school there, I dated some girl who's now married to some guy, and the guy knows that I dated the girl that's now his wife, and now he's offended. So he's like, nah, that you can't do business with Dre Baldwin. And he got more pull than I got, and that's it. Just like that. That's all it takes. The reason doesn't have to be a real reason. It just has to be a sounds good enough reason. In the corporate bureaucratic world, in order for somebody to kill your deal, all they need is a good enough sounding reason. They don't need a real reason. What is that, son? What do you got?
I left this.
Oh, wow. Okay, can you take it out there?
But I'm still doing it.
Okay.
Daddy,
Yes, that's beautiful.
Daddy, you want to try it?
Okay, for 1 second. But then I got to finish talking. My audience is waiting for me. Oh, I got it wrapped up. All right, can you fix it?
Sure.
Okay. All right, take it with you.
Oh, so black, blue, three colors.
All right, thank you. So all it takes is one person. And again, they just need a good enough sounding reason. They don't need a real reason. They don't have to explain it to you. It's just, hey, we can't do this deal anymore. And it's that fast. So when you're working corporate, this is why Shannon Sharpe got a problem. Now, Shannon Sharpe, here's what's working a little bit in his favor is that he is very popular. He's going to have an audience no matter what. So if I was arguing on Shannon Sharpe's behalf, I would say, all right, first of all, he's very popular. He still has a very popular show. He still has a whole bunch of fans. And if this company doesn't want to do business with him, somebody's going to do business with Shannon Sharpe, right? Because the audience ain't going away just because of this. He's going to lose some audience members, and he's going to get ridiculed a good amount, and he's going to have to answer for this. He's going to have to do all those things, but his audience ain't going away because it's not like he lost his skill. He didn't lose his ability to do what he does. He just got aired out for something that should have stayed private. That's all that actually happened here. The issue, though, on the other hand, is that he ain't going to get $100 million, at least not yet. It might be a while before he gets that $100 million because of this. So what gets tolerated or even praised in quote unquote the streets? So when I say the streets, I don't mean you have to be in the streets. What I mean is the kind of stuff that we do amongst each other that doesn't involve corporate or bureaucracy, and it might be looked at as cool or funny or acceptable. The stuff that is okay in the streets can backfire on you and get you blackballed in the corporate space. That's why you got to know where you're at. You got to know when you, in black people, we talk about code switching. What is code switching? Is when we carry ourselves a certain way when you're in one room, but you kind of change your tone and you change your energy and you change your approach when you're in another room. And black people talk about code switching as if it's some type of burden, but understand that everybody has a code switch. Maybe black people feel like they have to do it more than others, especially if you're in a corporate space, and maybe you're right. But everybody code switches. It's like this. If you're sitting around talking to if you're a woman and you're 30 years old and you're sitting around talking to your girlfriends about your dating life, there's certain ways that you talk. But then if you go into a room and you're talking to your mom and your grandma, you're not going to talk the same way. Even if they ask you about your dating life, you're not going to use the same language when you're talking to your 30-year-old friends that you were talking to your mom and your grandma. So we code switch even when we're talking to each other. Same way that I talk to you all is not the way that I talk to my son. He's 2 years old. So we all code switch. Code switching is a normal thing. It's not some type of burden that anyone has to live with unnecessarily. We all code switch. We all change our language depending on who we're talking to, where we're talking, and how the audience is receiving what we're saying. Men, if you are taking your street behavior into a corporate space, you have to be very careful. All right, do not mistake tolerance for approval. Those are two different things. Do not mistake tolerance for approval. What does that mean? That means that in the streets, quote unquote, if you say something that somebody doesn't like and doesn't approve of, they will usually respond to you immediately and tell you, hey, I'm not feeling what you're saying. I'm not feeling your energy. I don't like what you said. Watch your tone, watch your mouth, etc. Usually there's a direct exchange because people can do that. In the corporate world, if you're in some type of meeting, in any kind of bureaucratic environment. So when I say corporate, I'm talking about bureaucracies. You can work in the government, work in academia, you can work in corporate. Those are usually the biggest bureaucracies. You work in one of these places and you say something that somebody doesn't like in a meeting, they might not say anything to you. It may appear, if you're looking at them, it may appear they didn't even notice what you said or they don't care what you said. But they actually absolutely heard what you said. They are offended by what you said, and they do have a problem with what you said, but they're not even going to come to you directly, not even going to say anything to you. What they're going to do is go to somebody who has authority over you, and they're going to shit on your career based on what you just did, and you don't even know that they were offended. That's how it actually works. Yeah, so yeah, what you just said, Shug Lovely, exactly. There comes HR, right? HR comes, and they're calling you into a meeting, and they're checking you about your behavior and about your tone and about your energy, and you don't even know who you pissed off. You don't even know who you pissed off. You were in a meeting with 13 people. 2 of them were pissed off. Neither one of them ever approached you. They didn't say a single thing to you. They might not even looked at you, but they were pissed off about what you said and how you said it. They don't say shit to you, but then you get a call from HR like you got to go to a meeting. And you don't even know what you did because you might have did 10 different things. You don't even know which one it is, but HR is checking you now. And now you got to walk on eggshells the rest of your career because you don't even know who got mad at you because they're all looking at you with a smiling face like, hey, good morning. How you doing? That's the person you pissed off. And they don't even tell you. So again, if you want to operate in this world, go ahead. I don't like operating in worlds like this. This is the reason why I don't do corporate work. But if you do, or you're already in corporate, this is what it is. So just because someone tolerates what you did, or it seems like they tolerated it, do not mistake that for they approved of it. Because people who work in corporate, especially those who are very seasoned, government people, the noble wife, good morning, I see you. So government people, people who have been in academia for a long time, or people who have been in corporate for a long time, they know how to operate with a smile on their face. They'll shake your hand, look at you like, hey, how you doing? Ask you if you saw the game last night. How's the weather? They're the very person who is destroying your career behind your back, and you don't even realize it until you get fired. That's how it works. Is when you get fired, you realize, like, that's the person who was snaking me the whole time. Why? They would shake my hand every day. They would say hi to me every day. Damn, they gave me a Christmas card. All right, this is the person who was snaking me? How did I not see this? You don't see it because these people have been working there for so long, they know how to operate. They know how to navigate with a smile on their face while sticking the dagger in your back. And it's not till you're dead that you realize they did it. This is the reason why my favorite book, those of you who work in bureaucratic environments, please read the book called The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This book tells you exactly how things go in those spaces. It's how it goes everywhere in life. But one of the places that Robert Greene said that book has been very valuable and a lot of people appreciate him for it is working in corporate. It's not so that you can be this conniving, manipulating person. It's so that you know how to deal with conniving and manipulating people. That's what happens in corporate. You get these conniving, manipulative people who will smile in your face while at the same time trashing you behind your back. And the next time they see you, they're smiling in your face again as if they never trashed you behind your back. And again, you don't even know they're trashing you until it's too late. Shannon Sharp, the issue is they're being quiet right now, but he's taking the things that he's doing, and it seems that it's been tolerated, but maybe not for long. The higher the stakes, the less forgiveness. The higher the stakes, the more mistakes will cost you. I told you all, third law of economics is that there are no free lunches. What does that mean? That means everything you do has a cost. It's also known as opportunity cost, or you can just call it a trade-off. Everything you do has a cost. Just because you don't see the cost, or you don't feel the cost, or you don't know about the cost does not mean that there is not a cost. Shannon Sharp right now, having this situation, this OnlyFans girl suing him, and the text messages and the no means no and put a condom on, don't stick it in my back door, and the fact that he's 50-something messing with an OnlyFans girl, all of these things have a cost. The cost is, let's say Shannon Sharp doesn't get fired. ESPN might say, okay, we're not going to fire you, but we're going to reduce your salary by 60% on the next deal. The next contract, they're going to lowball him and take it or leave it. Why? Because your reputation is not as strong now as it was when you did the last deal. So now you're not worth as much. That's the thing. That same company is offering him $100 million, rumored $100 million. They may say, hey, all right, we'll still do the deal with you, but only for 20. We won't give you 20 now, not 100. Now, why is this? Because big bureaucratic organizations have a morality clause in their contracts. There's a morality clause in every deal. What is the morality clause? The morality clause is basically a catch-all that allows a company to say, if you do something that we think is wrong or bad or outside of the lines of how we think you should behave, we can use that against you to fire you or to take money away from you. That's what the morality clause is. And any big entity has a morality clause, which means if you're Tiger Woods and you're killing it on the golf course, but then you get caught and exposed for having sex with a bunch of women outside of your marriage, what the hell does that have to do with Nike or Sprite or some golf ball company that you had to deal with? What does that have to do with anything? You're still winning championships. You're still selling golf gear. You're still destroying people on the golf course. Why would they drop you from the deal? Because of the morality clause. Because now your brand is not as strong as it was. You used to have this squeaky clean image of this kid from the suburbs whose dad taught him how to play golf, and you spoke perfectly and you enunciated well and you were really good at golf. You had this perfect squeaky clean image. Now you're not squeaky clean anymore. We can't pay you money anymore. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. And then when Tiger Woods started winning again, guess what? They came back and paid the money again. So Shannon Sharp can come back. I mean, it ain't like he's that young. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take him, but he can come back. I don't know how much time he got on the clock. He's already in his mid-50s. This is the deal. Mistakes will cost you, ladies and gentlemen. Mistakes are not free. Shannon Sharpe made a mistake here. His mistake, again, is not that he was dating a 19-year-old. All right, there are people older than him dating women around that age. The mistake is that, look at Bill Belichick, former NFL quarterback. Look at the girl he's running around with. She ain't that much older than the girl Shannon was with. And Bill Belichick is older than Shannon Sharpe. He probably old enough to be Shannon's dad. He probably is. How old is Bill Belichick? Like 80? He's old enough to be Shannon Sharpe's dad, and he got a girl that's the same age as Shannon Sharpe's girl. But Bill Belichick is good because the girl ain't sued him for nothing. That's the problem. Bill Belichick probably couldn't even do what the girl claimed Shannon Sharpe was doing. He's probably too old. But anyway. Shannon Sharpe's mistake was that it got out in the news and that he picked the wrong girl. So he could be dating a 21-year-old, and if she's quiet and she's discreet and she keeps her mouth shut, he'd be good. Is that he picked the wrong 21-year-old. That's his mistake. He just picked the wrong girl, not that she was 21. So one mistake can kill you. It can kill a relationship. It can kill a business deal. One mistake, one wrong thing that you said. This is the reason why, again, I know what I've said on the internet for the last 20 years. I know the things that I've said. I know the language that I've used. I know the topics and the subjects that I've touched on, and I know in what ways I've talked about them and who might be offended by that, just by knowing their job title and where they work, why somebody might be offended by something that I've said over the years. And that's why I don't even bother going after business with these entities, because I know all it takes is one person to say no and it's over. I don't even reach out to colleges and say, have me as a speaker. I don't reach out to corporations and say, let me come keynote at your conference, because I already know what it is. I know the deal. Good news is there's plenty of business opportunities available outside of those entities to where I can still run my business the way I want to run my business. But you got to know where you get it. You got to know the saying, get in where you fit in. You got to get in where you fit in. And I'm saying this to all of you. So you got to know where you can fit and where you can't. And there are certain things that if you're going to work in a certain space, you can't be on the internet saying and doing whatever you want to say and do. I say this to my audiences all the time, and it applies to many of you, that some of the things that I say when I'm talking about current events, or if I'm talking about Donald Trump, or I'm talking about MAGA, or I'm talking about politics, or I'm talking about some social issue like the rainbow flag and all those things, or BLM or CRT or DEI, when I talk about these things, some of you who are listening to me, I'm not enlightening you with brand new information. Sometimes I'm saying things that you very much agree with, things that you already think in your head, things that you say behind closed doors. You say them yourself. I'm just saying them in my way, but it's not like I'm giving you some brand new idea that you never thought of. You agree with everything that I'm saying. The thing is, because of the way your career is set up, you probably shouldn't say those things out loud, because it might affect your career. It might affect your ability to draw a paycheck. And I know there's a lot of people in my audience for whom this applies, because I talk to them personally and they tell me, hey, a lot of the things that you say I'm aligned with, and they don't go as far as to say this part, but I'm saying it for you. I know many of you probably should not say the things out loud that I say out loud, because it would affect your ability to do business. It doesn't affect my ability to do business. As a matter of fact, it helps it, because people who are aligned with me on a psychographic level get deeper into my world, because they like, all right, this guy he sees things the way I see things. So you just got to know what the cost of that is. You get to figure out what the trade-off of it is, and ask yourself, do you want to make that play? Do you want to do that? It's just a choice. And remember, everything in life has a trade-off, folks. There's no perfect scenario. The trade-off of censoring yourself and not saying these things is that you get to go into the corporate space and you're good. You're welcomed. I can have the same opinions that I have and not put them out publicly, and I can go do a whole bunch of corporate business. Problem is, I couldn't say the things that I want to say. The reason why I say the things that I say is because I can't not say them. That's just me, though. That's not all of you. Not all of you are like that. Now, I have certain things that I want to say that I can't not say. This is the reason why I put out so much material, because I want these things to get out to the world. But if you're okay not saying the things that you're thinking, that's fine too. Now, the payoff of that is that now you can go do corporate. You go work at a university. I couldn't get a job at a university. I think I'm a pretty good teacher. I couldn't get a job at a university. Why not? It's because I can't teach? No, it's because I got the wrong opinions. That's what it is. I'm just saying that these are people. Corporations and colleges are run by people. And if you offend the wrong person, you could be as good as you want to be. You ain't getting in. There are people who work at colleges right now who I can teach better than them, but because they have different opinions than me, they have the job. And if I wanted the job, I couldn't get the job, simply because I got opinions that don't work in that space. And if those same people were to wake up tomorrow and have the same opinions that I have, they would not have a job next year, even though their teaching skill has not changed. You still got the exact same skill that allegedly got you hired in the first place. Your teaching skill has not changed. You actually got better at teaching, but because your opinions changed about certain subjects, now you can't work here anymore. But I thought the whole purpose was have the best teachers. That ain't the purpose. So y'all got to be able to see through. Again, this is what discernment means. It's seeing what people present to you and then figuring out what's the truth. And it often ain't the same thing. And the more red tape, the more levels of bureaucracy, and the more people involved in a situation, the less likely that they're telling you the truth. The less likely that what they tell you is the actual truth. It's usually what they tell you is the thing that sounds good, and what's actually happening is what's really going on. So I heard this guy named James Altucher. He said there's a good reason and a real reason. So when you deal with corporations, and you ask them a question, they'll give you the good reason. Now, your job as a discerning individual and a person of sharp judgment is to figure out the real reason. They are not the same. So moving on. You don't have to like the corporate rules. I'm telling you the corporate rules right now. If you want to be corporate, you got to learn how to play the game. That's it. Any of you who works in corporate, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Put the word cosign in the comments. Any of you who work in corporate, and everything I'm saying right now is 100% on point. Put cosign in the comments if you understand what I'm saying. And it's all true. In the corporate world, you just got to know how to play the game. Again, you don't have to like the game. You don't have to like the rules. You just got to know what they are, and you got to play it. And if you violate the rules, there's a cost. All right, there's a cost. There's a cost when you violate the rules. You got to play by the rules. So all of you who work in corporate, guaranteed, I don't even have to know you personally to know, there are people you work with and you say hi to every day, and you don't even like them. You don't like them. You really don't like them, but you got to pretend like you like them because that's the job. And there are people who work with you, they don't like you. And they got to pretend like they like you because that's the job. And this is what you got to do if you want to stay there. Now, if you want to let them know how you really feel, then just understand that's your last day at work. You getting escorted out by security that day. All right, that's how it is. Y'all remember Dave Chappelle when he had the when keeping it real goes wrong? Y'all remember that? That when keeping it real goes wrong, the Dave Chappelle show? And he was in the corporate meeting, and all of a sudden he decided, nah, I keep it real. And he starts talking crazy, and he's working with all these proper speaking white guys like, hey, you never talked like that before. Well, allow me to reintroduce myself. Remember that? Remember that skit? Keeping it real goes wrong. And y'all saw what happened to him when he started keeping it real, right? Y'all saw what happened to Dave Chappelle in that skit when he started keeping it real? All right, he was out of a job and back living at his mom's house because he kept it real. And when you keep it real, there's a cost to keeping it real. And again, that's why certain spaces ain't for everybody. So mental discipline, folks. You got to know when to speak and when to be quiet. That's the key. And I think the hardest thing for a man, it's for women too, but specifically for men, because what I'm supposed to be talking about here is corporate rules for men. The hardest thing for a man when you are in your masculine and you have testosterone, you got testicles, so you have testosterone. Hardest thing for a man to do is be quiet when you want to say something and when you have something to say, and to do nothing when you actually want to do something. That's very difficult for a man, to stay quiet when you want to speak and to do nothing when you want to do something. It's a high discipline required to do that, and you got to have some forethought. Personally, when it comes to Shannon Sharp, they got this new capture on TikTok that they asked me to do. Which of these objects is a musical instrument? This is some new I ain't never seen anything like this. All right, got it. Shannon Sharp, he put that video out yesterday, that 1 minute video or 2 days ago about this is going to be a shakedown, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think he should have put that video up. Personally, I don't think that was a good idea. Any of you who knows anything about the legal system, I don't know if we have any lawyers in here or anybody who works in the legal system, paralegals or anything like that. Any of you who's ever worked in the legal system, all of you should know this. If you don't know this, I'll tell it to you right now. As soon as you get into a legal situation, the most important thing you need to do is shut the fuck up. That's the most important thing you do. Everybody knows about the Miranda rights, right? Miranda rights. That means that's when they say you have the right to remain, you're under arrest, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have a right to a lawyer if you cannot afford, or an attorney. You have a right to an attorney if you cannot afford an attorney, won't be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights? Those are the Miranda rights. All of you have heard of that before, right? The most important thing you need to do when you get into a legal system is be quiet. Stop speaking. Don't say anything. What Shannon Sharp should have did was nothing. He should have said nothing. He put out that video saying, I want to get out in front of this. I understood what he did. He's doing the damage control because he knew that whatever that girl had on him, he was looking crazy. And he probably knew that before he put the video up. Because in mediation, the lawyer said they were in mediation, meaning they were discussing how do we resolve this before it goes public. They were trying to do that, but they went public anyway. Because he knew he had Shannon Sharp knew, oh, she got Tony Busby. Tony Busby takes everything public and tries to smear reputations. That's what Tony Busby does. Shannon Sharp knew that. So as soon as he saw it was going to go public, he said, let me get out in front and say something. That was a bad idea because all people did is take that and run with it. Now he looks even worse. He should have just been quiet. That's what he should have did. Now, how are you? You would think about this as a man. You think you're being done wrong. You think you're being shook down by some 19-year-old girl off OnlyFans who sells ass for a living, and now she's trying to take me for $10, $50 million, whatever. And they're trashing my name. They got this lawyer who's an expert at trashing people's names and reputations. He's trashing my name. My whole career is falling to pieces in front of my face. Everybody on the internet is ridiculing and talking about me and doing live streams about me, talking about me, and I got to sit here and be quiet? That's very difficult for a man to do. But Shannon should have been quiet. Because, like the Miranda Wright said, anything you say can and will be used against you. And everything he says is going to get used against him. Not only in the lawsuit, if they continue, well, the lawsuit mediation is going to continue. They're going to pay the girl off. She's going to get paid. That's what's going to happen. In case any of you are wondering what the outcome is, she's going to get paid. She wouldn't accept 10. She might accept 15. She won't accept 15. She'll take 20. She won't take 20. She'll take 25. She's going to get paid. That's just what it is. And as far as the corporate bureaucratic issue, this is the problem for Shannon. Everything he says can and will be used against him. And the discipline is being quiet when you want to talk. Emotional disciplines means you can't react to everything. All right. And when you're in the corporate energy, you can't check people. I mean, corporate space, you can't check somebody in the corporate world. Somebody says something to you that you didn't quite like in a board meeting at the corporate level. You can't go check anybody. You can check somebody in the streets. You can check somebody at the mall. You can check somebody at the gym. You can't check somebody in a corporate meeting. You can't check somebody at a meeting, a committee meeting when you work in academia. You can't check anybody there. You'll get fired checking somebody. What is okay out there is not okay in there. And this is why men got to be disciplined. Sexual discipline. This is the discipline where a lot of men lose it. A lot of men lose it right here by not controlling. Kevin Samuels used to call it controlling your seed. Now, he specifically meant having babies with women, but I'm just talking about just overall sexual discipline. Even if you're protecting yourself, even if you're using contraception, which you should, and Shannon Sharp, according to what that girl said, Shannon Sharp is out of bounds, very, very out of bounds doing that. Even if you're using contraception, you got to be careful who you're doing it with. Because, again, I told y'all this yesterday. Show me the Carfax. Y'all get what that means metaphorically? I explained this yesterday. If y'all didn't see the live, watch it. It's on my YouTube. Show me the Carfax. Any girl you're going to deal with, show me the Carfax. Especially if she's on OnlyFans selling her ass for a living. A girl's on OnlyFans selling her ass, that's how she makes her money, by showing off her body. Show me the Carfax. Shannon should have known better. All right, with those right there, and understand, men need to understand this because there are more and more girls doing this now because it's so easy and it's so available. And many of the girls who are on OnlyFans, making money on OnlyFans, this is the best income generating opportunity that they have. That if they want to make money another way, they probably couldn't make the same amount of money as easily as selling their ass on the internet. So this is the reason why they're doing it. And that's not even knocking them. This is the game. Again, first law of economics, ladies and gentlemen, is supply and demand. If somebody's supplying it, it's because somebody's demanding it. I mean, somebody's selling it, it's because somebody's buying it. So I'm not knocking them. All right, there are girls out there selling it because there are men out there buying it. All right, this is what it is. That's the game. Don't be mad. Don't hate the players, hate the game. But if you're going to date a woman who's in the business of selling her ass online, you got to really ask yourself, what is this girl's real, true character? And could this girl possibly be using me because I'm a public figure? Everybody knows who I am. You can Google maybe somehow, some way, how much money I make or how much money I got or how much money I'm about to get. And could she possibly use any of that information against me in some nefarious way if she decided to do so? Shannon Sharp didn't ask himself these questions, and that's how he got caught up. That's how he ended up where we are today. That can't happen, Shannon Sharp. Listen, there's a whole bunch of dudes out there who are well known and are probably doing stuff outside of a relationship, if they're in one, publicly known to be in one, or they're single and it's pretty well known either how much money they're supposed to have or how much money they're about to get. Is it known? Can you Google how much money Stephen A. Smith makes? Yes? You can Google how much money he allegedly makes. Right? He'd be on TV talking about it. I'm underpaid. Stephen A. Smith. That's one question. We know the answer to that. Number two, do you think Stephen A. Smith is out here messing with girls? I think so. He's a single man. He's very well known. Everywhere he goes, everybody knows who he is. And he's publicly known for having a bunch of money. Do you think he has female attention coming his way? Yes, he does. Just on that alone. Forget about how he looks. If you're a man, you know, if having money, you're going to get female attention. Just based on those two things. Forget about how you look. You ain't got to be pretty. Okay? Is Bill Belichick pretty? All right, look at the girl he's with. Like, could she actually have a pic of a man who's 27 and in great shape with 8-pack abs and nice body? Could she get that if she wanted to? I'm pretty sure she could. She chose Bill Belichick. Why? She's a man, he got money. All right, that's what it is. Again, don't hate the players, hate the game. At the same time, do you ever hear a story about Stephen A. Smith moving reckless with a woman? That's what I mean. This is discernment. Show me the Carfax. Did you ever hear a story when Kevin Samuels was alive? You ever hear a story about Kevin Samuels moving reckless with a woman? No. Show me the Carfax. And when you move reckless with women, I mean, think about other things like Michael Jordan, for example. Michael Jordan, he got divorced from his wife. I believe she claimed infidelity. I believe she did. I believe in the legal situation. They kept it pretty quiet, but I believe she claimed infidelity from Michael Jordan, which I wouldn't be super surprised by. Here's the thing. Did you ever hear a story of a woman saying Michael Jordan was moving reckless with me? You ain't hear too many of those. If there were any, he got rid of them real quick. Unlike Shannon Sharpe. If a woman came to Michael and said, hey, I'm about to sue you or I'm about to take you to court for XYZ, Michael called his lawyer. His lawyer called her and said, all right, what is it going to take for you to shut the hell up? And whatever the number was, he paid it. That's why you never heard that story. Stephen A. Smith, maybe the same thing happened. All right, what is it going to take for you to be quiet? All right, that much? All right. All right. What's your PayPal? What's your Cash App? Done. If you're going to move out here this way, as a single man, you want to move out here in the world that we're in today, where everything is digital, everything has a receipt, every single thing you do, somebody is watching, reading, recording. You got to understand, if you're going to move out here with women who are already selling themselves, you got to be willing to pay the price of dealing with them. The price of paying with a woman who sells herself is that you got to buy. Is that she ain't free. Again, third law of economics, folks, no free lunches. Any woman who is showing off her ass on the internet for attention and money, if she's going to mess with you, guess what she's expecting? Attention and money. What y'all think this is? What do you think this is? You see a woman who's selling her ass on the internet, and you say to yourself, if I ever met her, it'd be cool if I could deal with that. Okay. All right. You willing to pay? You willing to pay the toll? You've been through a toll road, right? You know, you roll through the toll and you got to pay. Or they scan your license plate and then they send you a bill and you got to pay. You got to pay. That ain't free. Kevin Samuels told y'all. He told y'all it ain't free. If they're already selling it, why would they give it to you for free? Why would I give it to you for free if I'm already selling it and I can get 10 grand from him? I'm in this for the money. I ain't in it. The woman, she ain't in it for the love. She not in it because you're hot. I told y'all this yesterday with Shannon Sharpe. He might have got fooled into thinking that the girl liked him because he's a big black guy with big muscles. Not really. You think you're the only black guy with big muscles walking around LA? Really? Shannon Sharpe? You the only guy with muscles walking around Vegas? Really? You the only big black guy with muscles in her DMs? Really? It ain't you. It's the fact that she knew you got money and she could get some of it. That's what it was. Y'all saw the text messages. She said $25K per cheek. That's what she said to him. $25,000 per cheek. You can fill in the blank of what that means. And she was like, this is like them going back and forth, having a conversation. This is the game, folks. So, sexual discipline, man. I'm not saying don't have sex. I'm saying sexual discipline. Show me the Carfax. Pick properly who you're choosing. And any girl you meet these days, I'm going to tell you another thing. Any girl you meet these days offline, go find out about her online. Any girl you meet offline, go find out what she's doing online. That should be pretty easy. I'll tell you what you do. I'm going to tell you some game right here. And I've done this before. You meet a girl offline, and let's say you go to her house or something, and she goes to the bathroom. All right. Get her ID. If she was driving, her ID somewhere there. Take a picture of the ID, and then go find out. Show me the Carfax. Show me the Carfax. I'm keeping it. Show me the Carfax. You better find out what they're doing online if you met them offline, because they're doing something. Any girl tells you she's not online, she might be telling you the truth. She might not. If she's actually telling you the truth, that's a good thing. But if she's lying to you, there you go. Show me the Carfax. If she lied to you right there and you just met her, all right, what else she lying about? Probably damn near half of everything else she says. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. So when you don't want to, another thing, man, when you're in the corporate space, I heard Jason Whitlock talking about this. Y'all know Jason Whitlock because he used to work with Shannon Sharp. They both were at Fox Sports for a time, and Jason Whitlock was talking about this. He said that Shannon has some issues even back then, that he has some HR issues back then, and what Jason was saying was that Shannon used to kind of move reckless. Hey, you want to join me?
No.
Okay, why you come in here?
So, I am.
You want to use that? Okay. So he said Shannon used to move reckless even at Fox. It's just that he was able to, I guess, get away with it for long enough that it was cool. Now his recklessness has become super public. They can't just hide it in a file. So it's one thing if you move reckless and only the internal team knows about it. It's another thing when you move reckless and the whole world knows about it and you're a public figure and they know that you're standing next to us. Now we got to do something. Now Disney has to do something. Why? Because everybody knows about it. His file was already known. When Shannon Sharp came from Fox over to ESPN, his HR file from Fox was already with him. ESPN already knew all the stuff in that file. The thing is, they said, all right, the world doesn't know about this. So as long as he doesn't do anything reckless over here, we're good. Now the world knows about it. Now they got to do something. This is how corporate works. Shannon, this is not his first transgression. But they didn't do anything about his previous transgression because they kept it quiet. Now the whole world knows. Now they got to respond. This is corporate. This is how corporations work. This is how bureaucracies work. Is that something could be going on, but as long as you don't know about it, they're cool. But as soon as the world knows about it, now they're like, oh, we got to do something. I think that's fake. Personally, I think that's fake. But this is how those worlds work. I'm not trying to change the game. I'm just telling you what the game is. So if you want to play it, again, man, you try to turn the corporate world into a dating app, all right, you are putting yourself in a bad position. I'll tell you another thing that I heard a man say. He said that when you run a business, you can't be dating the women who work for you. You can't do that. You're a man, and you may see people doing this on Instagram. I see women who have an account is like you're a personal assistant, and she's like selling this fantasy of I'm your personal assistant, and she's showing off her body and all that. If you have a personal assistant and you get physically attracted to the assistant, be very careful. It's put you in a bad spot. It's put you in a very bad spot. Y'all saw the Hugh Hefner documentary on I think it was on Amazon Video. He married his personal assistant. All right, be careful. Be careful dating women in the workplace, because I heard a man say this. He said, you start dating the women who work for you, now you work for them. You start dating the woman who works for you, now you work for her. Why? Because as soon as she decides to claim rape on you, as soon as she claims assault of a sexual nature on you, as soon as she decides to take those text messages or whatever happened and use it against you publicly, now you're playing defense. You employed her. You were paying her $20 an hour as an assistant. Now she owns you, and now she's asking for $1 million to go away because you didn't have the discipline. So if you really, really want to mess with her and you're in love with her, here's what you do. You hire her replacement, fire her, and then you date her. But don't date her while she's still working for you. All right, that's a bad decision, because that can ruin your whole business just because you didn't have the sexual discipline. Do not turn the workplace into your dating space. HR doesn't care about that. All right, any of you work in HR, you know. Or any of you ever been to HR, you know. HR don't care about your game. Because what HR's job is to protect the company from getting sued. That's HR's whole job. I don't want us getting sued. That's why ESPN got a problem here. We don't want to get sued by this girl because you are working for us. Because anytime Shannon Sharp was messing with that girl in LA, what was he doing in LA? He might have been working for ESPN. They could somehow get roped into this lawsuit. They don't want to have to pay out a lawsuit. So they're looking at Shannon right now. He's a liability more than he's an asset. You understand? He's a liability now, because now they might get sued because of his recklessness. So they might say, all right, let's just get rid of this dude so we ain't got to get sued. We'll take the L on not having Shannon Sharp on the show anymore so that we don't take a bigger L of getting sued by this girl who's saying, oh, he was doing something for ESPN when he was messing with me. He was texting me from ESPN studios. So therefore, ESPN, y'all are a co-defendant in this lawsuit. That can happen. That kind of stuff can happen. So now he's a liability. HR is just like, all right, don't get sued. How do we not get sued? That's why they got the morality clause. You do something immoral, you are out of here just because you did something that could make us look bad and expose us to liability. Another thing about females, men, that you need to understand. Women like to talk. Let me take a sip of water while you digest that one. Women like to talk. Any women in here, cosign or not? Any women in here, please cosign. And men in here who have women in their lives. Do women like to talk? Susan said people like to talk. No, women like to talk. Women talk a lot more than men. Boogie Down says single man is not immoral. Well, there's a morality clause in the contract. Morality means anything you do, it's a catch-all. Anything you do that can make us look bad, we can fire you. That's what it means. Women like to talk. And Courtney said we can't help it. It's fine. I'm not saying it as a negative thing. I'm saying that this is just I'm just saying it as a thing. Women like to talk. Let me explain to you what that means. Okay? Let me explain to you what that means. Susan said talking and communication is different. Well, talking is a form of communication. All right, let me explain to you what I mean. Women, when they're around other women, will talk about whatever they have going on in their lives. And if you are one of the things going on in their lives, anything you did with that woman is going to become somebody else's information and knowledge. That's what it is. So I say that one more time. When you are a man and you're messing with a woman, if she has any female friends, whatever you are doing with that woman is going to become the news of the other women that she communicates with. That's what it is. Now, do men also do this? Sometimes. Not all men do this. Men tend to have more control over their mouthpieces than women do, as a general rule. Why? Because men have the physicality to do things. When they may want to say something, they can act out their, what would be words, they can make them actions. Women don't have the same physicality as a man. So a woman often takes what would be a physical action and it translates into language. Just as a general rule. I'm just speaking on a biological level here. It's not a science debate. Women talk. So this is what you all need to understand if you're a man. If you're messing with a woman who has a lot of female friends, she's always hanging with a bunch of other women, whatever you do or say or show to that woman is going to become the business of all the girls that she deals with. That's a fact. Someone says, stop generalizing. Well, we can't have a conversation if we can't generalize. Well, I say the sky is blue, I'm generalizing, but sometimes it's black, sometimes it's gray, sometimes it's orange. Come on. We have to generalize to have a conversation. You get the point of what I'm saying. Understand my point directionally, don't interpret it literally. Directionally, women talk. And what that means is if you're in corporate and you're messing with a girl who's also in corporate, you're messing with a makeup artist, and the makeup artist is pretty, you're messing with the makeup artist, guess what? She got 20 different people sitting in her makeup chair every day. You think she's just doing the job and saying nothing? No, they start talking. They start conversing. Women start talking to each other. So anything you do, she's going to talk to the other girls that she knows, and then that message is going to get out, and the whole world is going to know your business, at least all the people that she talks to. So you got to pick and choose with women. This is one of the things Kevin Samuels was talking about, and I can co-sign this one from personal experience. You want to deal with women who might not have too many other women that they're always talking to, especially chatty women. Why? Because all your business is going to be in the street. That's what it is. You mess with a woman who got a lot of female friends, she's going to talk, her friends are going to talk, and now everybody knows all your business. And you only told it to one person. As the saying goes, the fewer people who know a secret, the better chance that secret gets kept. As soon as 2 people know a secret, you got a problem. If 3 people know, you got a bigger problem. If 10 people know, you ain't got a secret no more. Y'all follow me? That's how it is. You got to deal with women who can keep their mouths closed. And generally, a woman who doesn't deal with too many other women, if you want to keep your business is preferable. Again, I say that from anecdotal personal experience. And any men in here can co-sign that, tell me you're wrong. I haven't seen a situation where a man messed with a woman who has a lot of female friends and your business was kept private just between you and that woman. It doesn't happen because women like talking. That's what they do. Especially in the corporate space. Especially in the corporate space because it's a closed environment. So any of you who ever went to college, the closed environment of college means whatever you're doing with one girl or a girl, if you're doing it with one guy, eventually other people are going to know about it. Why? Because in that environment, the news spreads. You work in corporate, the news gets around. You're in a neighborhood, the news gets around. This is what I tell men. You're in a relationship, you want to mess with another girl who's outside of your relationship. Don't mess with a girl who lives in your same apartment complex. Are you stupid? It ain't going to take but a week for that message to get back to your door. You live in a condo, don't mess with any girl who lives in that condo. It ain't going to take long for that news to get right back to where you live. Bad idea. I'm not telling you to do that at all, but I'm saying if you're going to do it, be smart. You got to learn how to operate properly. If you're going to do what you do, again, the game is the game, folks. So any of you hearing this and you think it may be a little bit immoral or something you would never do, I get it. The game is still the game, whether you would do it or not. Yes, Chevy Caprice, you're right, or simply don't cheat. But if you're going to, at least be smart about it. That's what I'm saying. At least be smart about it. So anyway, the guy who can be charming, composed, consistent. Again, you can go longer in the corporate world by not taking it outside of that. Charming, composed, consistent. You may see a pretty girl working there, but you know the deal. You know what HR told you. You know what HR told you. All right, no workplace relationships. And if it is, you must disclose. Who was the guy who got fired? The Boston Celtics coach, Ime Udoka. Remember he was dating Nia Long? I guess he had been dating her for some time. I didn't know who he was dating. I didn't care who he was dating until it became news, because what this guy does, the dude, Russell, I see you over there on Instagram. The dude, Ime Udoka, was coaching the Boston Celtics. He was doing a great job, apparently. And somehow, some way, it comes out that he was messing with some white chick who was working in the corporate offices of the Boston Celtics. Now, this is a problem for a couple reasons. Number one, the white girl was married. He was not married, but he was in a long-term relationship. That's part of the morality clause. But also because he already had an HR file. Again, this is what I mean. Ime Udoka, according to the stories, already had an HR file that he had done some stuff he wasn't supposed to do. And he got his hands slapped. And he got a little bit of pushback, but he didn't get fired. They just told him, yo, watch what you do out here. Don't do anything else crazy. And he was a coach who was doing a really good job. His team was doing very well. So they didn't fire him. But then he did it again. They had to fire him. And then they went and won the championship with a new coach. So he missed out on the ring because he couldn't control his sexual desires in the workplace. Now, again, he couldn't if he wanted to mess with, and he was in a long-term relationship. He coaches a basketball team. He played in the NBA, Mr. Ime Udoka, the coach. He's coaching now the Houston Rockets. He played in the NBA, so he knows the deal. Dude, you live in Boston, you're playing for the Celtics. Coaching the Celtics. This woman works in the office, so that means she's only around when you're in Boston. And she got a husband, so it ain't like she's completely free and you got a girl. So it ain't like either of y'all completely free. First of all, how did y'all get caught? That's one thing that needs to be figured out. Secondly, dude, you coach an NBA team. Y'all are on private flights 41 times a year to go to a different city besides Boston. And this is what you did? You dealt with the woman who works in the office? Really? This is poor sexual discipline. That's what it was. Poor sexual discipline. So obviously, and this is the part that I want y'all to get. People saying, well, why would the man even go outside his relationship? Forget it. Let's just say he already decided to do so. I'm not here to coach him on doing it or not doing it. What I'm saying is, it's clear he had already decided that's what he's going to do, right? He was doing what he wanted to do. Go outside his relationship. Okay, that's what you want to do? All right, let's do it the right way. You're going to New York. You're going to LA. You're going to Atlanta. You're going to Dallas. You're going to Houston. You're going to, what's the other teams? Portland, you're going to Minneapolis, you're going to Milwaukee, you're going to Detroit, you're going to Miami, you're going to Orlando, you're going to New Orleans, you're going to all these cities, you're going to Charlotte, you're going to DC, you're going to Philly, you're going to all these cities on a private plane. Now, you got a phone. It had to be her. Really? It had to be her. Cleveland? Yeah, Cleveland. You're going to all these places, Chicago. You could have did that the right way. He did it sloppy, and he paid for it with his job. And his girl. And he lost his girl. He could have did all that without... Anyway, let's continue. The system does not reward potential, folks. It rewards polish, control, and predictable performance under pressure. Predictable performance under pressure. That means you got to predictably behave the same way over and over and over again in the corporate space, same way it applies in the entrepreneurial space. And again, when you adapt to corporate, folks, some people say this is fake. Some people say it's like, oh, I got to sell out to be corporate. I don't look at it that way. I say you're buying in. Is buying in if you want to be corporate. I'm not even corporate. But you need to buy in if you want to operate in a certain space. You got to buy into how things work in that place. As they say, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans. You can't go to Rome and then say, well, I'm going to be like an American over here in Rome. It ain't going to work. Same way that if somebody comes from somewhere else, they shouldn't be able to just come here and do whatever they want to do. We call it assimilation. Assimilation means you step into a new space, you get a feel for the environment of that space, and you adjust yourself based on what is acceptable and what is normal and what works in that environment. That's what you're supposed to do. That's not selling out. That's just being smart. If you live in New York City and you used to walking around in jeans and Timberland boots, and then you come down here to Miami in June, you walk around in jeans and Timberland boots, you are going to melt. Why? Because Timberland boots don't work when it's 90 degrees and humid. That's not a good idea. You probably should go get you some flip-flops or at least some sneakers so that you can operate in this environment. You don't want to just bring your New York dressing style down to Miami in the middle of June. That's a bad idea. And if you live in Miami and it's 80 degrees on Christmas and you're going to New York, you probably don't want to get on the plane wearing flip-flops, a tank top, and some shorts, because when you get off the plane in New York, you're going to have a problem. So you got to assimilate to the environment in which you're stepping in. That's not being a sellout. That's adjusting as necessary for the goal. Understand, folks, that there's a difference between being right and being accurate. Being right is about doing what serves your ego. Being accurate is about what serves the outcome. Those are two different things. Being right is about your ego. So if two people are arguing and I believe I'm right and you believe you're right, we're going to go back and forth both trying to prove our point. That's two people trying to be right. But if we're both trying to be accurate, at some point, somebody's going to say, wait a minute, what is the ultimate goal that we're trying to achieve here? Let's say we're business partners. What's the ultimate goal we're trying to achieve here? Okay, if that's the goal we're trying to achieve, how do we take what you're saying and what I'm saying and make sure that either one of them is actually getting us towards the goal? Maybe it's both of us. Maybe it's neither one of us. Maybe it's a little bit of what you say and there's a little bit of what I say. We put those together. Let's go focus on the goal, because it's not about me being right or you being right. It's about us achieving the outcome. Accuracy is about outcomes. It's not about ego. Being right is about ego. So when people step into a space and they say, well, I just want to do me. I just want to be unapologetically me. You hear people saying this stupid shit all the time. Unapologetically me. Unapologetically you is okay if you're going to be an entrepreneur. And you can do whatever you want to do. And we'll see what the marketplace has to say about you. If you want to step into a corporate space or any kind of bureaucracy like academia or the government, you can't just be unapologetically you. Are you stupid? You're not going to make it. You're not even going to get hired, first of all, let alone you're going to keep a job. You got to adjust to what the environment is and play the game. What's the goal? Is the goal being you, or is the goal to have a career and make some money? What's the goal? It's the first thing I ask anybody who I coach. First thing I ask any company I'm working with. Someone brings me in for a sales training. First thing I ask them is, what is the goal? If you bring me in to do ABC, what's the ultimate thing that you want your team or you or your company to get from me showing up? And I need them to answer that question. I need a very clear answer to that question. Once I have a clear answer to that question, then we figure out what I'm going to do. But it's not just I'm just going to go in there and do what I want to do. And they don't tell me, they don't want me to come in and do what I want to do. I need to know the goal. When I know the goal, then I can be accurate and I can make sure that I'm delivering to the customer or the client exactly what they want. They're happy, I'm happy, everybody got what they needed, we're good, we can do business again. But if I'm in there just trying to be right, well, I'm going to just do what I want. I'm probably not going to win the business. Now, I'm damn sure not getting called back. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? This is the way the game works. So you got to know how to play the game. Playing the game is about accuracy, not ego. And it's not about being right. It's about being accurate. Accuracy is about what achieves the outcome. Shannon Sharp, I'm assuming Shannon Sharp, I don't know Shannon Sharp, have never met the man. I'm assuming that if he had to weigh between get some ass from some girl he met at the gym or get $100 million, I'm assuming he preferred $100 million. I'm assuming. Y'all tell me what you think. I think if you said to him, all right, you could either dump this OnlyFans girl and never talk to her again, and in exchange for that, you get the 100 mil, or you can keep dating this OnlyFans girl, and in exchange for that, you give up the 100 mil. Which one you want? I think Shannon would pick the 100 mil. Because with 100 mil, he can get whatever girl he wants. All right, and keep her real quiet. So the mistake that he made here was serving his sexual ego rather than thinking about what was accurate. And again, I don't think he thought about the fact that he didn't think about it. It was an unconscious mistake he made. I don't think Shannon made a conscious mistake. I think he made an unconscious mistake. That's why I keep pointing out this word discernment. An unconscious mistake is when you don't even realize that you didn't consider something that you should have considered. A conscious mistake, also known as unconscious mistake, is also known as ignorance. Ignorance means to not know something. You just didn't know what you didn't know, therefore you made a mistake because you didn't know. It's like if your child is 3 years old and they put their hand on the hot stove, they burn their hand. They made a mistake out of ignorance because they didn't know better. Now, if you know that the stove is hot, if you're 30 years old and you know that the stove is hot and you put your hand on it and burn it, now you're being stupid. Because stupid means you know better, but you did it anyway. Ignorant means you didn't know better and you did it. So ignorance I can forgive on some level. Stupidity is like, what are you doing? I think what Shannon did here was a mix of ignorance and stupidity. I would guess, I'm just theorizing, giving him the benefit of the doubt, this is a little bit more ignorance. Because I think he's old enough to have, I think he's had enough experience with women. I think he's had a good amount of experience with women, I'm guessing. But I'm also guessing that maybe he didn't think as deeply as I'm talking about when you're dealing with a woman who's already selling her ass. What kind of woman do you think she is? I mean, she's 19, already selling her ass. Again, who do you think mentored her? All right, where do you think her dad's at? What kind of relationship do you think this woman has with her father? You think she has religion in her life? Again, she's 19, already selling her ass. So what do you think? Where do you think she's coming from? Who do you think she is? And do you think that she's interested in you just because you're hot? Really, Shannon? See, it's a mix of ignorance and/or stupidity. Again, I don't know him well enough to be able to answer the question, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that some of this had to be ignorance. He just didn't know what he didn't know. Again, Kevin Samuels didn't make this mistake. Stephen A. Smith didn't make this mistake. Bill Belichick didn't make this mistake. And hundreds of other dudes who are over 50 and publicly known and not married, you don't see this happening to them. So again, what did he not know? What did he not figure out? What did he not discern in this situation? And I guarantee you, there's a bunch of men over 50 who are publicly known, publicly noted for their prominence or status, who have messed with girls just like that girl, but they didn't get caught out there. Guaranteed. So many people are focusing on the wrong thing. Like, why he messing with this 19-year-old OnlyFans girl? That ain't the issue. The issue is not that. The issue is that he didn't judge her character properly. He didn't vet her properly. And he didn't set the situation up properly. That's his mistake. It's not that he messed with a 19-year-old OnlyFans girl. There's a bunch of 19-year-old OnlyFans girls. Who do you think they messing with? They messing with somebody. They're selling ass, so somebody's buying. Why ain't all of them filing lawsuits? If that was the issue, then they should all be filing lawsuits against everybody. But that ain't happening. It's only him. That's the part y'all gotta understand. So when you step into a bureaucratic corporate space, and you gotta be careful watching these people on TV. A lot of them are backed by corporate interests. By the way, your favorite rappers, some of your favorite TV people, some of your favorite podcasters, especially the big ones, they have corporate money behind them. They can't just go do anything crazy off the mic or off camera and have the public find out about it and it's just cool. That's not the way it works. Joe Rogan got a contract with Spotify for like $100 million, right? But Joe Rogan, he's married with kids. If Joe Rogan gets caught out there, something happened publicly, he was messing with some OnlyFans girl behind the back of his family, and they find out, that deal might be gone. That's how it works. That fast. So just because they're known and their platform seems to be kind of like every day, it doesn't seem corporate because they're not in suits and ties, they're not sitting in some shiny office on a 30th floor, doesn't mean that they're not connected to corporate money. Shannon Sharp is connected to corporate money. Stephen A. Smith, that's corporate money. He can't just do whatever he wants to do. He says that. He often says it. This is not the only time he's ever said it. He said it more than one time. I have bosses. He says that. I have bosses. I can't just do what I want to do. I can't just say what I want to say. When that LeBron situation happened, LeBron walked up on him at the game. He said, I got bosses here. What did he think was going to happen? I can't, I'm supposed to fist fight LeBron James in the middle of the game. I can't do that. I got a corporate job. Now, who knows if it would have been a good idea or not. The point is, I got a corporate job. I can't just do whatever I want out in public. Even if I want to do something, I can't do it. Stephen A. is disciplined enough to understand that, at least as far as we know. Shannon Sharp just got caught. And when you move sloppy, man, the worst way a man can move sloppy is through sex. That's the worst way a man can move sloppy. Actually, that's usually the only way a man moves sloppy. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think if I'm missing something. Usually when a man is moving sloppy, it's because of sex. You got a paper trail of things that you said and did. You're recording yourself. You're recording yourself doing sexual acts with a woman. Why he did that, I don't know. He said it's a 10-minute tape. How you know the tape is 10 minutes? That means I think Shannon knew he was being filmed. Why did you film it? What are you doing? Do not film. What are you doing? Shannon, this is sloppy movement. You can't move sloppy out here, folks. You can't move sloppy out here in the streets. And men, this is very important for y'all to understand. A woman can't teach you these things. This got to come from a man. Any single moms out there with young males as kids, they have to learn this from a man. They can't learn this from a woman. They got to learn how to move in a disciplined way. And there's a lot of things I'm not saying here because I'm on a platform that's not mine, and I know it's women listening to me. Sexual discipline. So, with the time we have left, we got about 30 minutes. Here's what we're gonna do, folks. I am going to run to the restroom. I need to run to the restroom, and what I'm gonna do is play one of these Shannon Sharp tapes. Let me see if I can find one of these Shannon Sharp tapes so y'all can hear it. And let's see. Let's see if we can find the Shannon Sharp audio. Y'all heard the video yesterday, the whatever you want to call this. Actually, you know what I'm going to play? I'm going to play that Monique. Did y'all see when Monique was on the Shannon Sharp show? The comedian Monique. Monique told Shannon Sharp exactly what the deal was. He didn't listen. I'm going to play this one because this was... Yeah, I'm going to play this one because this was actually... Monique was 100% on point. She told Shannon exactly what he needed to do. This mofo didn't listen. This Negro didn't listen. And now he's caught out there. Let me run to the restroom. This will take me 90 seconds. Then we're going to get to the comments. All right, be right back. I'm going to let y'all listen to Monique telling Shannon Sharp exactly what he should have did like 2 years ago. He didn't do it. Listen to this.
Dating. What advice? If somebody, if a group of women were in here and they're like, come on, they talk to us. This dating thing. Because it's Mo is different now. Than when you and I...
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say that? What you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you.
I
ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at you. Let me tell you what Shannon needs.
Let me
tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it. When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you. You want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah,
because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's going to say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter because that's going to get your energy back.
Take us back to your draft day. What do you remember from the day that you were drafted?
Donna, I don't remember too much. I had 41 Coors Lights, so I couldn't tell you.
You remember 41?
Yeah, I remember 41.
You remember 41, but you don't remember what happened.
I don't remember what happened.
All right, that was on X, so they just start playing the next video. So let's see what we got. I don't know if YouTube even went live today. I don't see anybody in the YouTube. LinkedIn was messed up as well here today. Let me take a couple Instagram comments, and then we'll jump over to y'all on TikTok. We got 25 minutes here, so I'm going to go really quickly through the comments we got today because I know I'm not going to get to everybody. So if I miss your comment, it's not personal. Argentina, Piaz84, good morning. Said, love your work, basketball, and all your work. Appreciate you. Thank you. The Noble Wife, yes. Do not mistake tolerance for approval. Soul Art, New York, good morning. Belfort said, we say that in sports as well. MJ is better at playing the game inside of basketball. It's a safe bet. Follow the rules. That's right. That's why you got all those corporate deals. Belfort said, another player with the same skill set, different posture, politically would say the right thing. Socially, they wouldn't make it half as far. At least corporate-wise, right. On the court, they could do well, but corporate-wise, no. Hawaii said, this has been happening forever. These men never learn. Think these girls definitely do stuff like that on purpose. Yeah, the thing is, girls who do stuff like that on purpose have always existed. It's just the men had to be smart enough to avoid those girls or use them the right way. Again, stick and move. I talked about this yesterday. You get in, you get out, just like boxing. You get in, do your damage, you get out so you don't get hit back. You don't take return fire, as they say. Russell said, don't mix the honey where you make your money. Exactly. Or where you lay your head. There's two places you don't mix the honey is where you lay your head and where you make your money. King Work said, if you want to be your authentic self, do you recommend becoming an entrepreneur? Depends on what your authentic self is. If you want to talk the way I talk, you probably must be an entrepreneur. That's what I would say. If you want to talk how I talk on the internet, you probably have no choice but to be an entrepreneur because I could never work in corporate with the things I've said on the internet. I would have to scrub the internet of damn near everything I ever put out if I was going to work in corporate. Margaret Bertrand, good to see you. All right, we got 23 minutes here, folks, so I'm going speed dialing through these comments. If you're watching me on TikTok, please make sure you follow my YouTube channel. The YouTube link is in my profile. Also, my Instagram link is in my profile. And if you want to learn about my work as a coach or consultant or trainer, just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link, guess what? Also in my profile. Let's see what we got. Stories of Reddit. Can you share how someone like Charles Barkley has persisted so long in the corporate world? Because Charles hasn't had any dark enough scandal, and Charles is a good enough entity on TV that he carries that show. Shannon Sharp does not carry First Take. Stephen A. Smith carries First Take. Shannon Sharp is an addition to First Take, but he's not the show. The show is Stephen A. Smith. So Charles has had some things. What Charles had, he had what was he doing? Like trying to solicit a prostitute a few years ago. But he's the whole show. You take Charles off that show, the show doesn't exist. I mean, they would still have it, but it wouldn't be a thing. Let's see. Keenum said, women definitely talk. Yes, they do. Women just like to talk. There's nothing wrong with talking, folks. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. It's just a thing. Women just like to talk. Marcus said, I know men that talk more than women nowadays. That's true. There are some men who talk more than women these days because a lot of men are being raised by women. Mary said, but you like to talk too and you're a man. Well, I like to talk as far as what I'm doing right here, but here's something I will tell you, Mary, that the type of things that Shannon was doing, if I was ever doing them, there would be nobody who knew about it except me and the person who was involved. That's what I'm saying when I say women like to talk. But the woman, let's say I was doing something like Shannon was doing. No man would know that I was doing that because even if I'm talking to my male friends, I wouldn't tell them that I did it. But when she talks to her female friends, she would tell them that she did it. That's what I mean. As a general rule, that is true. Dr. J said, I work with 12 women. Yes. Yes, women just like to talk to each other. There's nothing wrong with that. Melissa said, women like to spill the tea. Yes, they do. Kimberly said, Joy Taylor. Exactly. Y'all saw the Joy Taylor lawsuit. What was the lawsuit? The lawsuit was the makeup artist. The makeup artist knew all of this stuff about Joy because Joy told her, and Joy said, if it ever goes wrong with this fat old white dude who I'm having sex with to move my career forward, if anything goes wrong with him, I'm just going to accuse him of sexual assault. That's what she told the makeup artist she was going to do it, and that's exactly what she got sued for. Because then the dude tried to have sex with the makeup artist, and the makeup artist was like, no, she didn't want to do it. But the girl Joy was already doing it. So the girl Joy, she just ran her mouth to the wrong girl, that's all. But a bunch of other women would have been completely fine with that. Boogie said, so a woman controls a man's career. Well, it's a straw man frame that you're giving me here, but a woman can control a man's career if the man starts having sex with a woman he works with. Yes, she controls your career because she could easily bring you down with an allegation. It doesn't even have to be true. Look at Shannon Sharp. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Look at Bill Cosby. Look at P. Diddy. Look at the thing they tried to do with Jay-Z. Look at Shannon right now. Look at all the men who have had accusations from women against them, whether it ended up being true or not. Just the accusation alone can destroy you. My point is, because a lot of men say, well, how can you know if a woman's ever going to do that? Well, you can't control if a woman does that or not. What you can control is vetting the character of the women you mess with, that even if they get mad at you, they wouldn't do that. That's the issue. Like, even if a woman gets mad at you, she shouldn't go that far to try to destroy your whole career. This woman got mad at Shannon for whatever reason, or maybe she wasn't mad at him, maybe she was, but she tried to destroy his whole career. What kind of character does a woman have to where she would even think of doing that to you? Shannon Sharp should have known the answer to that before he started engaging with this woman. That is his mistake. If I was talking to Shannon Sharp, this is the only thing I would tell him. I said this to you. I said this like 10 times already. No, I don't play basketball anymore. But you can watch all my videos on YouTube. They're still there. Vince's Mocha said, that's not true. I don't talk a lot. Even my husband said, you don't like to talk to you. No. Again, anecdotally, fine. I'm not saying every woman talks a lot. Okay, but generally, it's a true point. So some of you saying you're generalizing. Of course I'm generalizing. Yes, I'm generalizing. All right, trees have leaves. Yes, I'm generalizing. Okay? What do y'all want here? Susie said, women equal TMZ. That's a pretty good point, yes. Victoria said, they're in their feelings if they don't understand. Yeah, everybody understands what I mean. All of you understand it, even the ones who are pushing back. I am said, is that Lamb or I am? She said, you are so right, especially if you have sex. Yes, correct. Women just like talking. There's nothing wrong with it. Again, man, you just got to pick which women you mess with and look at what women they got around them. I told y'all this story yesterday. Brickell, Miami. There's a basketball player in South Florida whose name I'm not going to say. He plays on TV. Y'all know if I said his name, many of you know who he is. And you can Google him very easily. He got caught up by one of these girls. In the neighborhood of Brickell, Miami, I seen one of these girls once. And I seen her and I noticed her. She's the type of woman that any of you who's a heterosexual man, if she walked by, you would look. She was like that. And I saw her and I saw the way she looked back at me and I said, this is, it was, how do I describe it? The way she was dressed and the way she was presenting herself and the way she looked back at me, I said, this is go to that Belle Biv DeVoe song. Thought it was me. It was not you. It's not you. she would have looked at a whole bunch of dudes. If I wasn't sitting on that seat when she saw me, she would have looked at a different dude the exact same way. And the way she was dressed is like, all right, she's getting attention from every man she walks by. There's no way that I'm all of a sudden so special. I could tell immediately. I knew that immediately. Why? Because of my skill of discernment. Now, she had a group of friends that she rolled with. One of those girls in that group, because again, this is what I'm saying. You got to vet these chicks. Look at the Carfax. Who are they hanging with? You can tell a whole lot about a woman by what company she keeps. Same thing with a man, but we're talking to men today about women. You tell a lot about a woman by the company she keeps. And if the company that she keeps is a bunch of girls who's also like that, then ask yourself, why are they walking around like that? What are they trying to do? One of the girls in her crew, she goes and bags this basketball player. They become boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever. This stupid basketball player, he has unprotected sex with the woman. She gets pregnant. Now she's got a baby. They're still in a relationship, allegedly. Not too long after that, I don't remember the exact timeline, you see a post on social media by the girl. Now, mind you, I don't follow any of these folks. This went viral. That's how I know about it. The girl has a post with all this stuff that women say when they're breaking up with a man. Got to protect myself, and abuse and infidelity, and he wasn't true to me, and you know the shit that women say. I can't even replicate it. But all the shit that she was saying basically to explain to everybody why she broke up with the guy. Now she got the baby. Now he owes 18 years of child support, and now he's trapped. That's how it goes. And that was the whole game plan from the fucking beginning. That's what I'm saying. That girl and the girl she rolls with, that's all they do. They go around looking for dudes that they can trap. That's why that girl was looking at me like that, because she was looking at me as a target. Not because I'm just so attractive that she had to be looking at me. And again, it's not that I don't think I'm attractive. It's just that the way she was dressed and the way she was presenting herself, every single man that she walked by was looking at her. So why did she pick me? She just saw me as a target. That's all. This is the discipline, folks. I got to be able to see through this. Now, look, let's just say that she offered herself to me. Would I take advantage? Yes. Ben, what I tell you, Floyd Mayweather, get in, get out. You hit and don't get hit. You understand what I'm saying? Do I need to say that in more explicit terms? You hit and you don't get hit. So, let's continue. Luna said, trying to take what you got. At 19, I learned that. Yes, exactly. That's the game. And this game has been going, folks. Prostitution is the oldest profession in the world. Any of you didn't know. All right, women selling sex is the oldest job that still exists to this day. All right, Vince's Mocha said, what makes you qualify as such an expert to speak on women talk too much? My experience as a man with women. That's what makes me qualified. Strategy said, Bill Clinton and Monaco are the only two that knew about the affair and the entire world knew. Yeah, why? Because she talked. He didn't tell everybody. She told everybody. That's how you found out. Monica Lewinsky got a podcast to this day. The only thing she's ever done that anybody knows about is give the president head in the Oval Office. Adrian said, this is true, not to hate on women. It's not hating. It's not hating to point out what's true. Here's what's also true, is that men are very easily led around by their penises. And y'all want me to balance it out? Ladies, you want to feel better if I balance it out by telling you something about men? Is that if you can attract a man's attention with some type of sexual desire, i.e. showing off your body, you can get that man to do a whole bunch of stupid shit that he otherwise would not do. Why? Because he's not thinking with this brain, he's thinking with that brain down there. All right, so ladies, if you want me to throw you a bone so that you don't feel like I'm just attacking women, there you go. But don't expect me to do that ever again. Nurse said, what can I read to learn corporate strategies? Well, what kind of corporation are we talking? You talking just people in corporate? I'll say Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. I'm 43 years of age, born February 3rd, 1982. Sugar Cookie says, it's not always true. My friends don't always know about my man because women like to steal your man. Yes, if you're a woman who doesn't talk a lot. So, Sugar Cookie, you're a woman who doesn't talk a lot, and there are women who don't talk a lot. I personally don't like dealing with women and didn't like dealing with women who do a whole lot of talking because, again, I want my business in the street. Even my business with that woman, I don't want other women knowing about it. But what you said is very much accurate, that women should not, it's not a good idea for a woman, at least from what I've heard, to tell their female friends about what's going on with their man, because if you talk him up and make him sound, well, first of all, if you shit on him, say he's a terrible guy, now they all think your man is terrible. And when you say he's great, then the other women might get interested. Like, damn, he's great? Hey, maybe I could steal him from her. So Art said, were there no cameras in the Oval Office? I don't think there are cameras in the Oval Office. Like, you mean like security cameras? I don't think so. I mean, some of security just to get to the office. I don't think they need them. Terry says, not cheating till you get caught. Some say. Christine said, that's because females are social butterflies. All right, fair enough. Call it what you want. Marky says only cheat out of state. Well, if you're traveling all the time, any of you know a man who sells, who's a traveling salesperson? Talk to them in private. I'll just leave it at that. Barky, thank you for the follow. Lil Muck said, why should you change your identity? Again, assimilation. That's why. You change your identity for assimilation. What's the goal? Lil Muck. Fitzgerald said, the little head always gets the big head in trouble. That's 100% facts for men. Let's see. Michael J. Gallagher, good morning to you. Thank you for the follows, those who've been following. I can't point all y'all. There's a lot of people, but thanks for the follows. Freedom, peace, good morning. Land 27. If that one no means no text is true, that's a big mistake, but it'll still settle. Yeah, we don't know if the text is real or not, but the fact that his reputation has taken such a hit for the last 48 hours, he's going to have to settle. It doesn't matter how much he'll accept. Belfort said, it's frustrating hearing people respond by trying to find a fault in what he's saying versus listening long enough to grasp. No, this is what people do. This is the internet, Belfort. What do you expect? Heard not because they want to gain understanding. No, the internet is not about understanding. Some of you just have improper expectations. I know exactly what the internet is. I've been publishing for 20 years, so I know exactly what to expect when I get in the comments. I'm not expecting anybody to try to understand me. Either you agree with me or you don't. You may be entertained by this, but I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm not in the mind-changing business. Trying to change people's minds is a waste of energy. Fake name said, never trust a man whose bookshelf is full of his own book, self-published, self-help books. Well, these are not all self-published. I got books by traditional publishers as well, and I sell books. I don't just write them, I sell them. And they're not all self-help either. Strategy says Shannon might have thought he could win both. Win both what? The lawsuit? Well, if he thinks he can win the lawsuit, he wouldn't have tried to settle. He would have just said, well, go and do it. Just like Jay-Z. When the same lawyer, Tony Busby, came with the case against Jay-Z, Jay-Z immediately said, you're not going to get a single cent from me, and I'm going to countersue you for what you're trying to do. Shannon Sharp said, let's mediate, and let me give you $10 million to go away. Those are two different responses. Felicia says, has to be a conscious level. He was forewarned by more than one person. How do you know that? What are you talking about? Lollipop said he didn't know. He definitely knew better. He's embarrassing. I said it's a combination. I said there's a little bit of him that probably didn't consider that this girl might be of poor character. And at the same time, he knew she was an OnlyFans girl. So again, when you're messing with an OnlyFans girl, what do you expect? But maybe this is the first time messing with an OnlyFans girl. We don't know. We don't know. I just know, just because from my experience and seeing women who are on OnlyFans and what they're doing, I'm like, I know what game they're playing. And again, if you listen to somebody, listen to some Kevin Samuel stuff before he passed away. Passed away 3 years ago, but I guess whoever has his YouTube channel, they still put videos out every now and then of him, like old stuff that he did. Listen to some of the stuff he was talking about. He wasn't really talking about OnlyFans, but in general, the points he was making still apply to that. Girls who are on OnlyFans are selling ass for money. So if they're interested in you, understand that they're looking to get something out of you in that process. Shannon messed up somewhere along the way. He knew what it was when he met her, I think, on some level. On some level. But again, I can't read the man's mind. Lollipop said her frontal lobe is not even fully developed. Well, I mean, so that don't mean nothing. I mean, she could be 19 and of good character. I guarantee that ain't the first 19-year-old Shannon Sharp mess with. I would be willing to bet money on that. Felicia said at 56, Shannon had to know. I'm not too sure, folks. OnlyFans is a relatively new thing. A woman being able to sell her ass through the internet is relatively new. All right, so just because he's 56, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, how long has OnlyFans been a thing that's like been popping off? Like 5 years? How long has OnlyFans been a thing that like any girl could just hop on real quick? What, 5, maybe 10 years? So OnlyFans is new. Shannon is old, but OnlyFans is new. So that's why I give him the benefit of the doubt on some level here. Fabby's randomness said, even their conversation is cringy. There's nothing to talk about. Well, it wasn't supposed to get out. We weren't supposed to be reading their text message conversations. I mean, let's keep it real. And I'm trying to think of any situations in my life. I don't think I've ever had conversations like that. I don't like putting things like that on record. So in emails or text is sloppy. Again, I already said, Shannon's moving sloppy. All right, that we can establish. The guy was moving sloppy. That's established as true. Now, The text message conversations, however, were not supposed to go public. That was just supposed to be between them two. Now, the fact that Shannon was in there, he didn't say anything crazy in the text. Actually, did he say anything crazy in the text? I don't think he did. She was saying crazy stuff in the text. He wasn't saying anything crazy. She was talking crazy, and he just had the text message. He just put the text message out there to try to make her look bad, but it kind of backfired on him. Now, the phone conversations, he was saying things that he got to kind of explain why he was saying that. And again, in the corporate space, he has to say that. Land 27, yeah, he didn't deny when she said no means no, and he said, can I call you later? He didn't even say that he didn't do it. That's a rough one right there. As far as the corporate response, I don't care the general public response. Well, he's already getting trashed, but the general public, yeah, is a thing, but not really. Same people trashing him now are going to watch the next episode of his podcast. Ain't like people going to stop watching. So, Felicia said Shannon chose wrong. The choice is integrity and decency or lack of integrity. Well, he didn't discern properly is what he didn't do. Because again, there could be another girl on OnlyFans who would never do that. I don't think that's his first OnlyFans girl, if I had to guess. There are other girls on OnlyFans who would not do what this girl did, but this girl did it. That's the issue. Big and Bob said, I like filming. Well, it depends on who you are. Now, if you're a person who's generally unknown, the fact that you're filming doesn't matter, because if somebody put the video out, people are going to look at it like, well, who's that? Nobody knows who you are. You're Shannon Sharp. Everybody knows who you are. And you're working in corporate, so you shouldn't be filming. Jay said, I was going to ask your opinion on Monique. Well, she was right. She told Shannon. She said, you need to get yourself an old, fat woman who will make you food and rub your feet at the end of the night. And she's not going to be going for 3 rounds of sex because she's too old and too tired for that. That's the kind of woman you out here trying to run around with 20-year-olds. Bad idea. She said that to him on his podcast 2 years ago. So it's very funny because that clip is recirculating because it was very funny then and is more funny now. Felicia said, you can tell us we have brothers, so we kind of know, some of us. No, well, certain things I can't say on TikTok, just as a general rule. Fabi said, black woman, drink y'all water and mind your business. No, okay. We'll just leave that one there. Jay said, his baby mother's black. I don't know. I don't even know what his kids look like. CEO said that was 8 or 9 months ago, the Monique interview. Was it that short ago? Okay. I didn't know it was that short. Let's see. Where are we at? Kelly said, thanks for the bone. You're welcome. A couple more comments. We got 5 minutes here, folks. Then we got to go. Man said, to the purpose of messing with someone in your workplace. Yeah, you got to be careful. Butterfly said, men have to study the women they choose to deal with. I agree with you. Yeah, you got to vet. You got to vet your partners. And everybody does that these days. That's the thing. Everybody can vet. As soon as you meet somebody, the first thing you do is look them up on social media. Isn't that what we do these days? You meet somebody, you go look them up on social media. They often don't give you their last name, but they give you their first name. You go try to find them. Like, you can pretty much find anybody. If somebody's on the internet, you can find them. If you want to find them. I can find pretty much anybody. If I meet you in person and you're on the internet anywhere, all I got to know is your name, and I got to know where I met you and a little bit about you. Like, what do you do for a living? Where did I meet you at? Anything like work, where you live. As long as I know one of those things and I know your name, I will find you if I wanted to. Anybody can be found if you're on the internet. The only way you won't be found is if you're not there. Out the mud said, I cut hair, mostly black men. Trust me, men gossip and talk and tell their business. Yes, I understand. I'm not saying men don't talk. What I'm saying is women talk more. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if we had to pick between the two, I would pick women over men. Felicia said, or you don't hit, you get a decent woman of your own. Fair enough. Victoria said, people really feeling salty over women talking a lot. Yeah, a lot of people are pushing back on that one. Y'all understand my general point. Texas T said, I feel like those offended are ones who gossip the most. Yeah, probably. Nikki says, smart Aquarius man, thank you. No, I don't play basketball anymore. But all my basketball videos are still on YouTube if you want to watch them. Wolfo's World said, lots of wisdom, enjoyed the discussion. Thank you. All right, we got 3 minutes here, then we'll wrap this up. We usually finish by 10, but I gave myself 3 minutes here. Gigi said, why do you think so many men need so many different women? Well, that's a whole other discussion, Gigi. There are many men out there who are of the belief, and I understand this perspective completely, that there are many people actually who believe that man specifically was not made to be monogamous. That a man was supposed to go around and just have a bunch of different, just spread his seed as far and wide as possible. There are many men who are of that idea. They're of that belief. And I understand why they're of that belief. And at the same time, I mean, I'm assuming you're a female, Gigi. A man has a biological desire for sex, the same way a woman has it. I think some women have it stronger than men. But some men just see a bunch of attractive women, they want all of them. Now, can they actually get them? That's a whole different story. So it's not even so much about need, Gigi, it's about want. And some men get to the point, status-wise, where they can satisfy those wants as much as they choose to. So there are many men who talk about that. But that's a whole other conversation. Des Bless said, men wait till you're in your early 30s, have money, know yourself before settling down. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. Is go around, do your thing as a man when you're young, and then when you're ready to settle down, you did enough of your thing that you're not worried about what you're missing out on. Katie said, how are women supposed to think any man will be faithful then? Well, it depends on which man we're talking about, Katie. When it comes to actually choosing a man, is a case-by-case basis. So when I'm speaking here today, I'm speaking in generalities. Okay, I'm painting with a broad brush because I have to. I can't individually talk about every single person. But when it comes to an individual person, then yes, are there women out there that don't talk too much? Yes, of course. Are there men out there who are faithful? Yes, of course. So I have to speak in generalities so that people can get the point. But Katie, yes, you definitely can find a man who will be faithful. Is that, again, same way I tell men get the Carfax, women, you got to get the Carfax too. You got to get the Carfax on the man you're messing with. And eventually you have to make a judgment call. You have to make a judgment call. This is where discernment comes into play. All right, who is this person? And can I trust him? Yes, Monique did tell him very much. All right, a couple more comments, then we will wrap this one up, folks. While I'm looking through these, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow. It's not always about this angle of a subject. Sometimes we'll talk about something happening politically. Sometimes something happens socially. I do need to get to, let me see, what topics do we need to get to? We need to talk about the student loan thing. I will talk about the student loan thing. We are going to talk about this deportation issue again. So those are two that I know we're going to talk about. The student loan thing and the deportation, those are coming. One of them probably will be tomorrow unless something else bumps it off the headlines. If Shannon Sharp gets fired, I might talk about it again, depending on what happens. We'll see. And then we will go. Hold on one second. Hey. Somebody was calling my phone. Stop ringing. All right. I will be done in less than 30 seconds here, folks. And Juice Mode said, men talk about women we don't love. It's a hit and quit. The guys might get told what went down. Fine. Fair enough. Courtney, I appreciate you. Thank you. Carla, also thank you to my moderators who have been here today, keeping everything. The student loans. The student loan thing is the forgiveness of student loans. Some people are still arguing that we should, and some people are saying, well, no, you got to pay it. We're going to talk about that. It's coming up. It might not be tomorrow. We'll see. All right, we're at the 10 o'clock, folks. We got to go. Everybody, thank you for being here. If you are new here, make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow my YouTube channel. The replay to this live and all my replays are on my YouTube. The link's in my profile. And follow me on Instagram, just in case I ever get kicked off TikTok. TikTok has warned me that they're going to kick me off soon. That's not a joke. They have warned me. So if I get kicked off TikTok, I still do lives. They'll be on my YouTube, also on my Instagram, other platforms. You want to work with me directly, have me as your coach, consultant, trainer, speaker, etc. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to get one of my books, because I don't just write books, we sell books. You want to get one of my books, we actually give a bunch away for free. Just send me a DM. My assistant watches the DMs, and she will respond back to you and give you the right links, information, etc., etc. You want to have me as a guest on your show, send me a DM. My assistant will write you back and all of that. So anything I did not cover, just send me a DM. My assistant will take care of it. And you want to get access to any of the stuff I told you, the links are on my profile on TikTok. There's 3 links. One for Instagram, one for YouTube, one for my university. That's that. Everybody have a great Thursday. I'll see you all tomorrow. Work on your game. We out of here.